You're listening to The Drew Yari Show.
That's the wine and diner with kings and queens.
You're looking at the man. You're listening to The Drew Yari Show.
Yeah, hello?
Hello.
Hey, what's going on, bro?
Hey, you hear me good?
I got you.
Okay, I got my AC on in the back. I don't know if it's a problem. Let me know.
Oh, no, it won't be. I mean, I got a fan on this room, so, you know, we live in Texas, so, you know, we got that Texas weather.
Yeah, no, I heard you live in Texas. That's amazing.
It is. It's one of the many amazing things about me.
I don't know. We're up against Wrestling Soup, man. It's like we're like the NWA going up against WrestleMania right now. Oh, man.
It's okay. It's okay, Kev. We got that demo working for us.
Oh, good Lord. Let's see if we can try and steal some of these guys away who might not want to hear about the size of white guys' cocks for the next 2 hours.
So, yeah, basically this episode is just going to be us just trashing Soup.
Yeah, we should do that.
So,
and
yeah,
I'll throw in some trashing of Don Tony, which I was going to do anyway, and then I'll trash my brother too.
it's like, yeah, the Soup couldn't get an actual Scondato, so they got the third best Scondato.
Oh, good Lord. Yeah, they couldn't think of the top one. That's terrible.
John knows I love him. So, yeah, what's going on with you, man?
Nothing. I'm just kind of taking care of Amy and just hoping the best for my cat daughter who's going through a hard time right now. But hopefully, get some tests done and results and see what's what and then go from there. She just had last week real bad intestinal tract problems, just vomiting constantly, Then at one point I thought there was blood in her vomit, which really was scary. Took it to the vet. Yeah, took it to the vet yesterday, and the thing that frustrated me, is I couldn't. It's curbside. You have to drop your animal off at the door, and then you stay in the hallway. You're not allowed in the premises, and the doctor talks to you from a mobile phone, and it's not even a visual. It's a phone call. It's not like it's FaceTime. It's a phone call, and it's like, well, we have the cat on the table now, and we're looking at. And I says, there's no way I can be in there. It's a lot better if I kind of show you some things and then the area of her stomach that when you put pressure on it, it's bothering her. And he's like, well, we're going to examine the whole body of the cat and everything. I'm like, I know. I says, you can hear, like, I was very frustrated yesterday. My friend was with me and he was even saying, yeah, I mean, you can't even mask and gloves. You can't go in the room. I mean, it's just so, this whole thing is just, I'm so anti-COVID right now. I can't even, I hate COVID. Not that I'm sure a lot of people love it, but I don't like it. And I'm just hoping they're, doing what they needed to do. I gave every description of what was wrong with her and stuff, but I just felt like there was no personal touch. I couldn't be there at the doctor. There's no consultation in the office. It's all on the phone. And it just was very frustrating being outside the building while she's in the room, probably scared out of her mind. I know that they had a problem with her getting her out of the cat cage. I could have got her out. So it was a frustrating day, notwithstanding, worrying about what the prognosis would be, but just the whole process of taking your animal to the vet right now. COVID changed everything. I'm like, yeah, it's changed way too much. To not be with your pet for invasive procedures when you normally would be in there really drove me nuts. I was not pleasant to be around yesterday, so basically, and then when they gave me the bill, I was even more unpleasant. And my friend and me would do estimations of how much things were going to cost, and even he said, "Dude, we were so under. I thought you were highballing, and I thought like what I said was reasonable." And I said, "Let's tack on another 100, and we probably should have tacked on another 400 or 500." It was unbelievable. And there was things that they wanted to do that I wouldn't let them do because the bill was becoming so high already. We get permission for them to. They wanted to do some invasive thing to her through the urethra, through her cat vagina. And I said, no, I'm not putting up that. And with the expense, I go, let's take the blood work, the urine culture, and everything. And let's, first of all, I'm laid off COVID. I had to explain again. I'm on the phone with the doctor, like on a mobile phone, and telling them, I can't do all this stuff. I said, if you want your money now, I can't do all this stuff. You can put me on like a payment plan. And I said, so let's see what happens with that. And do we have to do all this stuff right now? He's like, no, we don't have. I'm like, then let's not. Let's just do what we need to now and go from there. And then I says, I'll reassess everything, because again, I mean, it was costing me like I'd pay a month's rent. I'm paying for my fucking cat. And again, I'm a guy who's laid off. I haven't worked. I don't get any fucking government benefits. So again, I'm not sitting free and easy like other people since this happened. I mean, a lot of club workers weren't entitled to any of that. But I'll do what it takes to, save my cat. But, even my friend was like, yeah, no, you did the right thing. You had to cut it off at a certain thing. I mean, let's be realistic. Even if you were working and making good money, that's nuts. I was like, yeah. So, especially I didn't want them doing too many invasive things to her while I was there. You know what I mean? Because I felt, if something goes wrong, I can't even be in the office. They can call me and say, yeah, we put your cat in anesthesia, it died. And I'd be on the outside, wouldn't be able to even go inside. You know what I'm saying? So I was, again, I can only go on and on about this, but I was super frustrated yesterday. I mean, someone said the wrong thing to me yesterday, they would have died. Seriously. But today, still throwing up, not as much. She's not really eating. She's, basically on almost like what would be a bread and water diet for people. It's a couple of treats. I'm not even giving her regular food. These special treats, and she's drinking water, and that's about it. But she did throw up before, which is just frustrating for her. And she looks at me too, like, why am I keep throwing up, Daddy? Like, she's looking at me like she doesn't understand what's happening to her. And she lost so much weight in a week. It's, again, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what they're going to tell me tomorrow, but, I'm kind of prepared for anything. And it came out of the blue. 2 weeks ago, she was fine. Totally fine. They think it's some sort of parasitic infection, which would be the best case scenario. Worst case scenario is cancer. You know what I mean? So we'll see what happens. If it's parasitic infection, as much as that's, it's going to take a while for her to get over that. How she got that, I have no idea. Even when I had the other kitten in the house, she was nowhere near in the room. She was on the other side of the house, separate room, never had contact with an outside cat. So I don't know, she's 10 years old. So, again, just close this out. Right now she's lying down on the couch, just kind of looking at me, and I just feel bad for her. I feel like I can't even leave her. I feel like I got to stay around her all the time, and we'll see what happens the next couple of days, and then go from there. But I can tell you right now, I'm not going back to that vet. If I go to get other procedures, I got another place that I'm going to go to that I feel more comfortable with. That does curbside service, but if it's something that they deem that the person I can go in and be with the cat if necessary in this particular place. Not all the places have to adhere to that curbside stuff, by the way. It's up to them. You can have the parent of the pet in the room. It's just it's on a place by place basis, So I had to find a place that'll let me go into the examining room.
Yeah, I just think that's how does I got to word this differently. So, how would COVID affect, people going in the actual, lobby or hospital or, vet, whatever you want to call it, with your pet? Right. I just don't get that.
No, I mean, I don't know either. I mean, they told me about the curbside service when I first went, but I just thought, okay, you drop your pet off or whatever, but then you wait and then they call your number or something and then you go in the room. I didn't know no, you're out. You stay outside the whole time. And the other thing is it's a major avenue on a major street. And even when you have the speakerphone on your phone, you can't hear shit. And I had to get in duck in a pizzeria hallway to even hear the dial. This was a bad system because you could see other people were out there too on their phones waiting for the doctor to call, and there's trucks driving by. It's on a major highway. You can't hear anything. I even told one point, I gave the phone to my friend James. I'm like, dude, you talk. I can't even talk anymore. I'm getting totally pissed off. So I just, again, it was just a shitty system. And I didn't like, for all the money I spent and, and still owe, I just felt like, I don't know, man, this is not what, not only you paid for, but I just think, again, you should be able to be in the room when you're talking about possibility of life after your pet or a crippling disease, could be cancer, the kind of thing with a phone call outside I just didn't like the way it was done. The bedside manner sucked,
I get you, because we talked about this. We're both cat dads. We love our cats. The way you're
Are we recording yet, by the way? Are we recording yet, by the way?
Oh yeah, we're recording, dude.
Oh, okay. I didn't even know. Is there a chat for this?
Well, this is pre-recorded.
Oh, okay. It was pre-recorded. Okay. I don't know if there's a chat room. Okay.
So yeah, I stopped doing live shows a while back. I might end up going. I might end up going back. I don't know, but
it's not all it's cracked up to be. Trust me.
Oh, yeah, I get you. But the way you're describing what's going on with Amy, it kind of sounds like what happened to our cat Pedro. He was actually around the same age at 10 or 11, and literally over the weekend he was fine one day. And then out of the blue, he just lost like a ridiculous amount of weight. Yeah. And luckily for you, you caught it. So there could be some good news. With our cat, it was just one of those things where before we even had a chance to even know what the hell was going on with him, he just passed away overnight. So
that's terrible. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's one of those things that stings because he is the grandfather of all our cats that we have currently.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah,
that's too bad.
We both love our cats. We're both cat dads.
No doubt.
Yeah, before I wasn't really much of a cat person. Then when I got with my girl, it became this a cat dad, like I just said. So I would do anything for my cats.
Yeah, when we were growing up, we didn't have any pets in the house. My father and mother, we never had any pets. And outside cats would come around. Like I was a teenager, I would feed a cat or two. And my uncle Thomas, my father's brother, had cats, a bunch of them. And we go to the house, and there was a cat named Ninja. There was another cat named what was his name, Mr. Blue. Like just weird names for the cats. And I just remember just being around, and I liked them, but I wasn't like a big cat guy until about in my mid-20s when I met what was going to be my fiance, who came from North Carolina, and she, at the time, and she came to New York to be a dancer, and she wound up being like a stripper, but she was a real dancer. Mm-hmm. But she couldn't find any work off-Broadway plays and stuff, so she danced, burlesque and stuff to make money, and she had a cat. And she bought the cat, and I just really bonded with the cat. And I was like, I want to get my own cat. Then I got my own cat. She bought me a cat as a gift. It was Peanut. I had Peanut even in the early days of what wasn't Don Tony Kevin Castle, but it was Minority Report. And when I was on the Don Tony Kevin Castle hotline, you can even hear me in the back, my cat meowing back in 2003, 4, 5. So I had Peanut for 13 years, and she died in 2010. Mm-hmm. And then my current girlfriend at the time got me Amy, who I have now, which is the one I was just talking about. So I became a cat guy like in the mid-90s, like around 95 to be exact, and I just became like a real cat guy. And then even in my neighborhood, when the Sheepshead Bay, my old place where I lived in Brooklyn, used to feed cats, and then moved to Queens in 2007. And first night here, me and MJ, my ex, we were in the backyard, and there were 2 stray cats that were just sitting on the flood wall that divides us and the house next door, just looking at us, and we're like, oh, I wonder if the lady who lived here before us maybe fed cats. Maybe they're expecting us to feed them. So we put food out for them, and then that's how it went. And then we saw there was like a colony in the neighborhood, and like I said, 13 years later, me and her are long gone now, 6 years split, and 6 years later, I'm still not only feeding that colony, but basically maintaining it by myself, which is all the cats I talk about on the show all the time. And the kitten that I rescued from the hurricane was part of that colony. So I've been 25 years like a real big time cat person, but not growing up as teenager 80s. We didn't have any pets in the house. We never had a dog, never had a cat. Just mid-20s, I just got drawn to cats, and I ever since.
Yeah, that's kind of my childhood is that we were mainly a dog family, and by we I mean my mom was big on dogs. We had, I think we only had one cat growing up, and its name was Jag. It was just I like to call it platinum black cat. He was like really kind of furry, nice. And that was the only cat we had growing up. And years would go by, and my current girlfriend I have now, she had an abundance of cats, and it just it became a thing where I'm like, okay, I guess this is what I am now. I am their father. I feed them. I buy them their treats. I make sure they're fed and have water. So this is my life.
Yeah, I mean, it's I find a lot of peace and solace in it, and there's nothing in it for me other than peace and solace. There's nothing in feeding cats. You can't. You don't make money. You only put out money. And again, to me, that's someone was saying to me one time. It's like, oh, what do you get out of that? I'm like, nothing. What would I have to get out of it other than peace of mind? And so I said, it's a feeling you get. You don't get. I didn't even understand the question. What do you get out of that? I was like, I don't think he was saying it to be like a jerk, just like almost like no, like what is you never like figure, oh, I'm spending too much money, I got to cut this off. I'm like, no. It's the one thing I've stayed loyal to. Actually, I was like, I've cut off people before I've cut them off. I go, they depend on me. I can't do that. So, I mean, I'll go without before they do. And then some people think that's crazy. I mean, that's nuts. They're not even yours. They're street cats. Somebody else will feed them. You always get that, right? Like, I'm sure somebody else will do it. Oh, don't be so sure. You know what I mean? Don't be so sure. So, and I don't trust that anybody will do it. See, my philosophy is I have to do it because nobody else is going to do it. And that's what I really believe in my mind. And that's what makes me driven to always do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
No, I didn't know if you were finished or not.
No, I was coughing.
Well, kind of a similar situation at my old house, the house I grew up in. My brother, he had these cats at his old apartment. So whenever he moved back into the home, he didn't have anywhere else to take the cats. So, my parents took in the cats. And two of them would always stay outside. One of them would stay inside. Unfortunately, the one that did stay inside, she got hit by a car a couple years ago, and it was one of those things where it's sad, but like my dad, who's like, if you meet my dad, he comes off as like gruff, and he's a tough guy, whatever. I mean, and he is, but like he's very warm and very generous, and he did a 180 on these animals. Like he found that my mom's cat Zoe in the street, and he was getting very choked up about it. So it's like, oh, my dad has a heart now, which I say that jokingly, but my mom was saying that they moved out of that house a couple years ago, and the people that moved in, she let them know, hey, we have these cats here. Is that a problem? She's like, no, my son loves cats. We'll take care of them. We'll feed them. And to their credit, they've been taking care of them. They feed them. My mom actually went over to that house because they were getting mail that kept getting delivered to that house. So she said she was walking up to the front door, and those cats, they saw my mom, and they remembered her. They just walked up to her and they went meow meow, and my mom was she's just, I mean, we're both softies. I get my crybaby. My crybabiness from her, and she just started getting choked up because she's like, "Oh, they still remembered me."
That's cool. I mean, again, I go out there. Majority of them are friendly to me. Like I was out there before. 6 a.m., 6 p.m. is the feeding times for them every day, 7 days a week. 6 a.m., 6 p.m. And if it's not 6 a.m., 6 p.m., it'll be 6:15 a.m., 6:15 p.m., something like that. Like a 15-minute curve if I'm running late or something's going on or I overslept in the morning or I just went to bed at that point. For the case for me, I usually go to bed at 6 o'clock or right after I feed the cats. But it's a labor of love, it's something I'll always do. And, and I'm fortunate that a lot of people who listen to the show and are fans of mine, have wanted to help out. And for years, I never took anything from anybody because I maintained it myself if I didn't need to do that. And then, like, in the last year, people started being like, oh, I want to donate. And I'm like, you know what? Especially since even before COVID, club business was shit, took pay cuts and everything. Work was becoming more scarce. So I was like, what? People want to help. I'll let them help. And they feel good about it. And I feel good about it. And it's a nice thing to do. And they feel like they're doing something, good. And, who am I to, turn down a good deed that I, support? I mean, my God, these cats eat every day, 7 days a week. You never not need food for them. You know what I mean? No, Drew?
Yeah.
You never not need food. They always will need food. And just when you think you have enough, you go and check the cabinets and you're like, oh shit, I'm running low again. Because, 12, 13, 14 cats, it's usually at least a dozen cats in this colony, sometimes up to 14, 15, depending on every now and then a stray male or a new female will come around. They're very family. I mean, it's amazing how, if people ever say that animals don't bond, it's not running in a pack like it's a bunch of wild dogs, but they really are a colony of cats that I think care about each other. You see, they sleep together and you go and check on them and they're very affectionate to each other. And it's mostly females in this colony. To break it down, because I even had someone recently here had to trap one of the cats to fix them. And when I got that kitten out of the hurricane, they had kind of abandoned her, to seek shelter. And she must have been sleeping and woke up and like, where is everybody, And thank God I got her out. And she's an adorable black cat. I posted pictures online of her. I call her Lock. And again, to me, once you start doing this kind of thing, you have to be really committed to it. It actually makes me angry when people say to me, oh, I used to do that. I'm like, what do you mean you used to do that? Oh, yeah, I just had a cat. I just stopped. I just, it's too expensive. Whatever. I was like, wow, I was about to say, oh, good for you. And now I feel like saying, that's fucking horrible. Don't tell me that. I'm going to think you're like a bit. So who took over feeding the cat? Oh, I don't know. I guess someone else fed them. So every time I hear stuff like that, it enrages me. I'm like, you got to make sure they're okay. You don't just abandon shit. I'm loyal to a fault, as you even see on that show that I'm on Monday nights. I'm loyal to a fault. Sometimes people don't deserve my loyalty. Sometimes, an assortment of people don't deserve my loyalty. But that's my bad trait, which is a good trait. It's a real double-edged sword, is my loyalty. Like, people will always say to me, you're not turning this into anything doesn't need to be turned into. But people will always say to me, Don Tony takes little digs at me, oh, you should blast him. Why don't you fucking put him down? And I said, I could, but I don't. To me, I always have a sense of he gave me my break, and he gave me my start in this thing, and I wouldn't even be doing this for you guys if it wasn't for that. And everyone's like, yeah, but that's, come on, you've earned your bones. You've been around for 17 years. You don't have to adhere to that. But I said, well, that's the way I was raised. That's the way I always been. I'm loyal to my teammates. Even in baseball, there was a player everybody didn't like. I would always say, hey, man, he's on our team. We're teammates. We gotta, on the field, we have to fucking back each other up. And I feel the same way at work. I work with some guys that I don't particularly, not going to go have a fucking dinner and a date with on the weekends. But as a team, we got to work well together. So I always figure the same thing. When you're committed to something, you stay loyal to it. So I'm my loyalty when it comes to friendships. The only thing I probably didn't stay loyal to was the part of the relationship and the boyfriend-girlfriend relationship where you're monogamy. That was the only thing I probably had a problem with loyalty.
Well, it's like you said, you're loyal to an extent.
Yeah, no, I mean, that would be my where it's maybe hypocritical, because I probably should, if I remain loyal to several women in my life who were such major factors in my life, and one or two probably would have been my wife, mother, my kids, had I played things straight with them and not stepped out on the relationship and been disloyal. So that's ironic that, my disloyalty to them, especially, is really what set my path. And I'd probably be living in a different situation now, much kids and family around and stuff. So again, that you pay a price for being disloyal is basically what I'm saying. That's why I always thought, there's always a price to pay for disloyalty. I think disloyalty is one of the worst things you can do to somebody. My brother John has the same feeling. We're both my father's sons through and through. My father was a very loyal guy, as a military guy. Loyal to your team, you're loyal to the Corps, you're loyal to your unit. And yeah, you don't have to like everything, but you are on the same side. And I don't get it. I don't get it in podcasting. I don't get it with people. I don't get anybody who thinks being disloyal to a teammate or slighting a teammate or slighting a friend or whatever behind boards, behind backs makes them look good. I think what you do is put word out on yourself that you can't be trusted. Do you understand what I'm saying?
No, I get you, because I was actually having a similar conversation with this on. I did a podcast earlier with RJ from Brooklyn. I'm not sure if you follow him or
the Savage guy.
Yes.
Yeah, the Savage Brooklyn guy.
Yes, he has a podcast.
Yeah. No, I don't know if he has a podcast, but yeah, we follow each other. Yeah, I think we've been following each other for a while now. Yeah, but I know who he is. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, he actually does have a podcast on Anchor, and it's also on iTunes. And I was on it earlier, so shout out to RJ. I was telling him this because he was putting me over like $1 million, and I explained to him it pays to be nice to people, and what I mean by that is you and me you and me are pretty tight because I guess I don't try too hard with people to try to be their friend. I'm just me. But at the same time, I go out of my way to try to at least be decent to people, not overly nice, but just decent, and you're a nice guy. You're not overly nice. You're not nice all the time, but you're a good man. Same with people like Mish, John Draper, Trez. I was.
Oh, they're not nice. They're not nice at all.
They're awful. They're just. I don't know what Trez does to keep her jumping. I'm playing.
I'm afraid of Trez. I'm not afraid of any podcaster, but I'm afraid of Trez. But no, they're all nice. They're all nice people. I mean, even Anthony de Blasi is a nice guy. Don Tony's a dick, but Anthony de Blasi could be a nice guy, very generous and family oriented. But that's the thing. You have to distinguish from because in podcasting, we all in podcasting. We all can go podcasting and be like a common character. I'm just, playing the role or whatever. But I think now for podcasting, it's like, we may use fake names and surnames, whatever, but you got to be yourself. And I think, that's when people really kind of connect to you is when you are yourself. I think my whole fan base, for me personally, can't speak for anybody else, can only speak for myself. People who support me is they can relate to me. They feel like, I'm a guy they know. I'm the same guy. They meet me like, this is exactly what I thought he'd be like. Even when I talk on the phone, off the record, so to speak, with fans and friends of the show, when I was doing the Friday, and I'm still doing them to a degree, not as much as I was doing them, but the Friday phone calls, which I started back in April, and I talked to probably at least 50, 60 people. And they're all like, you sound exactly like you always sound. Like there's no difference. It's not, you're not animated. You're just Kevin Castle. I'm like, yeah, that's, what did you expect? And they thought, I don't know what they thought, but it was funny when everyone's like, oh, you're just like I expected. And I'm like, well, you hear me on the show. Like, no, but that's you talking to this audience through a radio show and you and Anthony, you go, but you're talking to me on the phone and you're like, wow, this is great because you're just like, I didn't know what to expect. But that's a compliment. I think that's the compliment is that you are the same guy and what you expect. And when everyone says, oh, you're a nice guy, I think just polite and being respectful and having a pleasant demeanor when you're talking, that's the way you should act. You know what I mean? I appreciate people saying that, but to me, that's why, how should you be anything different than that? Were you supposed to be rude and a dick to people you don't know? You're supposed to embrace your fans, not give them a dressing down. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Also, I think if you're genuine, people will sense that. I think if you try too hard to be the nice guy if you try way too hard to be a nice guy, people are going to see right through that bullshit. If you're just yourself, it'll pay off because, in the way I put it was, the way I would put it to RJ was, you open doors for people are going to open doors for you.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that, and podcasting is becoming such an overcrowded field that, and I pay attention to everything that's going on. So when people say to me, Kev, did you hear this and that? And I'll even pretend, oh, I didn't hear that, because I want to get their take on what that was. But I know it already. I know everything that goes on. And I got people who tell me everything. So, podcasting is an overcrowded field. I think there are some people who are paranoid and afraid of the competition. Then there's other people who embrace the competition, and not even competition because, it's not competition, it is a competition. It is, because you're vying for people's ear to listen to your material and talk about a product that a lot of people are talking about. And that these people are going to tune in to hear your take on something that they can hear 50 other takes on 50 other podcasts about. Unless you were such a glutton for punishment, I would say, or such a glutton for wrestling news that you want to hear everybody's take on Karrion Kross and on NXT and Keith Lee getting burned by the Bible book or whatever. I want to hear everybody's perspective on it. Jason, Kevin, Don, Tony, John Draper. Then I'm going to listen to JD from New York. I'm going to listen to Drew Yari. Then I'm going to go listen to Jeff Lippman and Shaheen. And that's great if you have the time. You know what I mean? If you have the time and you sit there and just listen to everybody. There are fans that listen to everybody, and I can't even believe it. It's like, I love this podcast, Conrad. I'm like, wow, you listen every day, every week. Jim Cornette. I'm like, wow. See, I try to listen as much as possible too, but it's hard to sit through like 2-3 hours of a show. So I'll see clips on YouTube, and I'll say, okay, that catches my eye. I'll check it out. And you want to be good. You want to separate yourself, because the first 5 minutes when you listen to a podcast, it's almost like on a date. Like when you see a girl, she sees you. They always say the first 5 minutes, the girl knows how far she's going to go with you on the date, and if there's going to be a second date at that point in the first 5 minutes. So you got to captivate people where they tune in and say, this sounds interesting. But if you're like yammering away, or you're just like, in other news, click, turn this off. I can't deal with that. That's like Dave Meltzer. Dave Meltzer is one of the smartest guys in the business. Dirt sheet creator, created the dirt sheet, pioneer, but he can't talk for shit. And his is brutal. And he's not a podcaster, but he's a hell of a writer. I can't listen to his podcast, but his writing is great. He's as a dirt sheet guy and a website guy, fantastic. As a podcaster, sucks.
Oh yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I'm guilty of saying
Not every sentence and every pause of a conversation. It's a little much, but I don't think you do that. He does that so noticeably, though.
I actually haven't listened to Dave Meltzer's show, and to be honest, I think at this point I don't think I will. And not because he says a lot, more just because it's. I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theory guy, but it's just like Dave Meltzer makes it very clear on what he likes and who he likes and what he doesn't like.
Right.
And it's, the joke we make is that, he's in AEW's, back pocket. It's starting to become a thing of like, that might just be a possibility.
Yeah. No, again, him and Brian Alvarez, they sound like they're in the camp of AEW. I mean, I know Wrestling Soup always challenges on that, and they're right. I mean, I've challenged Brian Alvarez a lot on that too. I don't think Brian will ever acknowledge Wrestling Soup or Don Tony Kevin Castle exists. Which we still, both of our shows have that problem of the Meltzers and the Wade Kellers and stuff, and they don't acknowledge us. They never will. To them, we're just fans who've got a show. But so were they, you know what I mean? But just to another level. There's a lot of snobbery, and there's a lot of snarky, passive-aggressive, men acting like teen girls in podcasting in general. It's a lot of petty jealousy, a lot of control freaks. It's a real turnoff to me sometimes. I mean, I'll be honest, there's two reasons why I do podcasts. Number one is I love wrestling, and I think I know as much about wrestling as anybody, and I don't have to research shit. I was at NWA shows. I went to see Florida Championship Wrestling. I didn't have to, go Google something. I could tell you how big Kevin Sullivan was because he walked right past me in the West Palm Beach Auditorium in 1984. So, I always laugh at people like, I'm like, dude, just like my father was at a picnic one time, and some kid who did a college paper on the military and the Army, and my father was like, "How could you, be in, Oh, I researched." He goes, "Were you ever in the military? You plan on joining the Army?" No, and my father just kind of dismisses it as like, I don't know how you could teach if you've never done. You know what I mean? Now you could say wrestling fans aren't wrestlers, but they're not talking about being a wrestler. They're talking about wrestling as entertainment, as from a fan perspective. But when someone tries to tell you about working, like this is how it works, it's a little like inside stuff. I'm not a guy like that. Like, I'm a guy who talks from a fan perspective. I never ever thought I was talking down to the fan base of DTKC. Not once in my career did I ever think I was, telling people off or telling them, "Oh, I know more than you." I don't think I ever came off with that attitude. And I think that's why if anybody likes me, they find me to not be overbearing with, my sense of self-worth. You know what I mean? Which is another problem in podcasting, egos and people. Because, me and my brother John have a philosophy that, a lot of people in podcasting, and not pointing any fingers at anybody because there's a bunch of them, weren't very popular in school, weren't the cool guy in school ever, weren't in the cool clique in high school, hanging around the locker rooms. Even in college, they weren't any big man on campus. They weren't in the tough guy crew. They weren't the crew that got the girls. So this is some sort of self-assurance for them. I know wrestling, and I'm going to have my own podcast, and I control this and that, and I control this part of the airwaves of what I put out, what I want to put out. No one tells me what to do. And there's a sense of like arrogance and stuff, because one thing I see with podcasts, such a turnoff, is a sense of arrogance. People talk about a sense of entitlement with the millennials. I see a sense of arrogance with older people in podcasting. Just even, guys like Conrad and stuff. It's just, you're not right all the time. And I've seen many podcasters get dates wrong and things wrong and stuff they've said wrong. And I kind of just shake my head and I wonder if they're going to retract it, because that's not correct what he just said. And I know for a fact, but no one ever goes in, the podcasters only apologize when their back's to the wall and they think they're going to lose subs. Then podcasters will apologize. They succumb to the SJWs and political correctness too. When they say something off color or wrong. You saw what happened to JD from New York with Alexa Bliss saying that he imagines Alexa Bliss in her personal life lies in bed and makes the man do all the work. Now that's, you're crossing a line there. And when you said, personal life and like basically that she's a dead fuck in the bedroom and that anybody who gets in bed with her would have to please her and she doesn't do anything for them, you crossed the line, and he paid for it. He was losing subs left and right and had to go on the apology tour. My brother's like, fuck that, I never would apologize. I'm like, well, you know what? You're not him, and he's a lot bigger than we are in wrestling. JD's bigger than we are in podcasts. There's way more subs, way more listeners. Some people don't want to admit that, but you're hearing it from me. It's a fact. And that shouldn't be something that you should shy away from. You should aspire then to be as big as he is. How he did it, ask him, learn tricks of the trade. But he makes mistakes like anybody else. But when he did that, I knew that day that the next day he would have to apologize. I knew it because he was under fire from groups. And you could say nothing bad publicity. Oh, yes, there is. When you lose 2,000 subs in a day from your YouTube channel, people are sending you a message. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Oh, no, I get you.
So,
go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, I mean, basically, so what I'm saying is we're not infallible. We have to account for what we say. It doesn't matter how big you are, whether it's myself, Anthony, my brother, who's not as big as we are. My brother's a little bit of a small level than the Joey and Mish were, been in the game for a long time. There is pecking orders of stuff here just from a respect level and a legacy level of how long people are around. That's the way it should be. Like someone who's on a team for 15 years and someone who's on a team 3-4 years. Obviously, the 15-year veteran is going to be the one who has everybody's ear because he's around 15 years. So clearly he's doing something right. So I think there should be respect for veterans in podcasting like Jason Solomonster, myself, Anthony, Mish, guys who've been around for a long, long time. And I think for the most part there is, but there's other people who make like that's no big deal. But let me see them last that long. I'm around 17 years now. Anthony's over 20. Mish is about 15. Joey, same thing. I think my brother's like in his 4th year or 5th year. Even Trez now is in her 3rd year and coming along, and she doesn't get that much airtime, but definitely night and day from when she started. And again, you get the respect as people see how long you're around. But again, you have to kind of account for what you do and what you say. And I've had to apologize myself in the past, and you'll probably have to do it. Everyone, I think you're not a true podcaster until you have to make an apology for something you said. And we've all been there.
Yeah, I'm like, I was telling RJ this earlier. I'm like on episode 138 or 37, and I'm still learning. I'm still kind of getting there. So yeah, you're right. There's going to come a day where someone's going to rub someone the wrong way, and I'm going to have to own up to it. And there's that part of me. It's like I don't apologize for shit, and it's like yeah, you're going to have to. It's like that. That whole Vince McMahon adage. You're going to have to eat shit and like the way it tastes. And
yeah, you're going to have to do that, and no matter what anybody says, and that's another, again, the arrogance of podcasts is everyone tries to be a tough guy and stuff. But when you're getting attacked by multiple people, and you could think you have your little circle defending you and stuff, but I even said, and I'm, telling tales out of school, but JD from New York had called me when that had happened, and he'd even asked me, he's like, what would you do? I said, well, I probably would have never said anything like that, but I'll say this. If you're losing subs, yeah, I might lose sponsors over this. I'm like, then apologize. Because again, what he said, because you got to take into account, what made you say that? Well, I'm just not an Alexa Bliss fan. Okay, but did Alexa Bliss do anything to you that caused for you to take a shot at her personal life and her sexual habits in her personal life? No. I go, then you got to apologize. I don't see any other way. And he did, and again, he got some of his subs back, and he's got 100,000 subs as it is. But he doesn't want to lose to even one sub if he doesn't have to. I'm sure most people don't. Why lose 5 Patreons when you don't have to? Again, you can't please everybody. There's going to be someone who's looking to jump off the reservation anyway. They're just looking for an excuse to unsubscribe or cancel their Patreon, and they just want to go out with a little say-so as they go out and, I quit. Some people even quit Patreon to make this declaration. I just don't want to listen to Don, Tony, Kevin Castle anymore. I'm just not into it. Okay. You don't even have you can go. You don't have to make a big proclamation over it, over a $5 a month donation. I mean, just leave. You don't have to make a big thing. But people want to be heard. You understand what I'm saying? And what I say to people like that is, if you want to be heard, start a podcast, your own podcast.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You pretty much hit the nail on the head, and you said what needs to be said. That's pretty much all the review of what you just said is that you said what needed to be said.
Yeah, I mean, again, to me, I probably, have not said what I needed to say more times than not recently because I'm older and I'm a typical Gemini. Like I can go this way, that way about certain things. I have a nice, mature side where I'm the voice of reason and I'm trying cool things off, but cooler heads prevail. And because I have to do that in the club business a lot of times as people work together, barbacks, bartenders don't like each other, security guys, this guy's working with me tonight, I can't stand them, come on, got to get along for the show, we got to keep it together. So I brought that into podcasting and the same thing, and then there's times of my street side, it's like, oh, suck a dick, fuck you, I don't care, I'm not happy. There's many times I wanted to go off on people I work, and again, probably they wouldn't even know what hit them if I did. But I'm 52 years old. Sometimes I look at myself and I have to say, you know what? I have to be more mature. I can get streety and I can get fucking, rank like anybody else. And I can insult you as good as you can insult me on any given day. But most times I choose the high road. My brother is kind of a hothead and my brother will say things and stuff. But my brother doesn't have as much to lose as I do. I'm much more established. I've been around a long time. I'm the one in these people's influence. Oh, I was influenced by DTKC. My brother's not there yet. I was influenced by John Draper. 10 years from now, he'll get the same treatment as people were influenced by Mish, since Mish is around for 15 years. When you're a veteran, people say, I got into podcasting because of you. Or my God, I was listening to you in high school. Now I just graduated college. I'm going to start my own podcast. So when you have a lot of people say to you, you're an influence, you want to kind of be a good influence. You don't want to be like, again, we all want to be Steve Austin, middle finger, tell boss, fuck off. But people know how old we are and know that in real life, there's repercussions to always telling people to fuck off. There's repercussions to always being a foul mouth or a hothead. You can't do that. You should fight back when need be, but putting fires out, you should help be one of the firemen, not one of the arsonists. You understand what I'm saying?
I get you.
When it comes to that's the best way I can describe it. That's why when I see what was going on, I'm using JD as an example because he's the best example to use with that, because I saw people saying, fuck that, don't apologize, double down. I'm like, he's not going to win. Alexa Bliss has 1.5 million Twitter followers. And guess what? Young girls, and you know how it is. You ever try making fun of Beyonce online? You know what's going to happen to you? You know what I'm saying? You ever go after Taylor Swift? You ever see the results of that for a guy? Not pretty. Alexa Bliss has a huge contingency of teenage girl fans who have nothing better to do than to troll your account, report you, and make your life fucking miserable. Is it worth it if you're in your 40s fighting with a bunch of Alexa Bliss teen fans? How stupid do you look as a male? So again, no one to hold, no one to fold them, and no one to walk away, as Kenny Rogers' Gambler song said. I mean, I sit back and I'm watching a bunch of 40-year-olds tell JD double down. I'm like, dude, he's never going to win. 1.5 million Twitter followers against just 30,000. You ever go into a fight with fucking 46 people against 4? How do you think that's going to end up? And even if it's on social media, those kids have all day to be online. And you know what they're going to do? They're going to troll your account. Someone might hack your account. They're going to report you and make up stories, right, about you and say you're a pedo and blah, blah. You're going to lose. Back the fuck off. It's not worth it to get the last word in on Alexa Bliss. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, like when you're in a position, and I'm not the biggest JD fan, but when you're in a position like him where, you have over 1 million followers, over 1 million subscribers.
Yeah.
You have to eat shit. You have to go on the apology tour. It's like when you're a major Hollywood star. If I'm trying to think of somebody as an example, like who's like the biggest Hollywood star right now. Like if
The Rock.
The Rock, there you go. Like if it came out from like a interview when The Rock was, 20 and he said something about minorities. The Rock is the biggest star in the world right now. He's the most recognizable person. Even if you never watch wrestling, you know who Dwayne Johnson is. You know, absolutely. And also if you did watch wrestling, you know who The Rock is. The Rock is going to have to immediately go on the apology tour. Even if he can just say, "Hey, I was a young kid. I was stupid. I was drinking with my friends, and I didn't think this would leak out." The Rock knows his brand. He knows how much he's worth. And he also knows how much he could lose. Especially, in the type of society we're in right now where everything you say is under a microscope. Everything you say and do is under a microscope from everybody.
Oh, yeah.
And for all we know, somebody could be sitting on something that The Rock did from 15, 20 years ago. And they're just waiting for the right time to release it. You know what I mean? So, for Dwayne Johnson, he's going to have to make sure everything he says and does, especially if supposedly he's going to run for president. So there's going to be some dirt that's going to come out if he ends up doing that. He might actually end up doing it. And, for a guy like him, he obviously cares about his brand and his image. And that's also, the difference of words I just used. He doesn't just have an image, he has a brand. And how many people can say that they have a brand of themselves? They don't.
Yeah, no, I mean, every podcaster thinks they have a brand. I mean, we have a brand, I guess, with Don Tony County Wrestling Supervisor brand, but to a degree, I mean, to different levels. But you're right. But if anything, it's kind of, I feel kind of almost the opposite. The real big superstars, they can get past that. Actually, The Rock, I think it's the lesser people who can't survive that, because even if you don't, okay, just an example, hypothetically, a guy like my brother, he doesn't apologize or whatever. What is he really losing? Okay, he's got a few thousand followers, respectable for a podcaster on his level, but he's not going to get bigger now because some people might think he's tainted and, this guy's got trouble. I can't really, I don't want that coming over to me. I'll be his friend, but I don't know if I'm going to get on board with that, so I'm not going to thumbs that up because people might take me to task over it. I mean, people do that with me. There's people have outright said to me that they would have supported me or something I said, but they thought someone would take it the wrong way. And I was like, I don't even know what that means. But I'm like, do you think people are actually watching your likes? But some people obviously are, because I've heard some people get deleted from other people because of stuff they liked online. How weird is that? I don't follow anybody that closely that I would know that, oh, this person supported that, pro Kamala Harris post. I don't like Kamala Harris, so I'm going to delete that person. I don't get into all that stuff. I just care about my life and lives of my friends and family. If you don't agree with me, I'm not a Chris Jericho fan. I get a lot of heat for that. Now, Chris Jericho put a lot of heat on himself with playing that fest, and everyone's calling him a COVID spreader and stuff. And I defended him on DTKC, and actually me and Anthony both agreed on the same point. I couldn't believe everyone was in shock. Me and Anthony were on the same page 100%, because usually we're on opposite sides, pro, con. That's our show. It's always been our thing. And it's almost people think we do it like a gimmick, like, oh, of course Kevin's going to disagree. Oh, of course Don Tony's going to take the opposite side. Now, no, it's real. That when we do that with each other, it's totally real. But we said Chris Jericho was in his rights to play that concert. He wasn't doing anything outside the law, anything outside, even morally, he was not wrong. I don't think he did anything with malice. And everyone, a lot of other podcasts, like, you guys are correct. This is why we're all locked up. Guys like Chris Jericho playing, he doesn't need the money. What is he doing? Again, we saw it from a completely different perspective. But the point being is that, now I don't know if anybody's going to hear what me and DT said and unsubscribe. That's it. They agreed with Jericho. These guys are pro-COVID spreading. Goodbye. Unfollow. My brother keeps tabs on stuff like that. He'll even say, you'll see my brother John occasionally post, got unfollowed today by 20, 25 people or something I posted. I'm like, you noticed that? I don't really notice that from my things. On occasion, I'll take a look at my account. I won't even remember half the time how many people follow me. But that's somebody because I think, when you're going to post something controversial, you're kind of looking for either validation or you're looking for blowback from it. Like everything I post, even today, you don't think I took a chance when I posted. If you go look at it right now from 3 hours ago, I posted a completely anti-AEW thing. And it wasn't like a ha-ha. I meant it. I thought AEW shows are trash. I watched that show today, the rerun from last night. What a shit show. It's garbage, complete garbage. Jericho and Orange Cassidy in the main event. Jericho's all fat and looks bloated and horrible. And Orange Cassidy looks like he just came out of the crowd. That's the main event on TNT. And this is supposed to be the better alternative to WWE. I don't know. I watched Monday Night Raw and I saw Randy Orton and Ric Flair in the ring. Orange Cassidy? Are you fucking kidding me? So I don't get it. So I put myself out there. And guess what? I didn't have one person unfollow me, tell me go fuck myself, challenge me on there. Now that can change tomorrow. But as of right now, I got no heat for it at all. So, but then again, I'll post something else that is not a heat magnet whatsoever, and I'll get a bunch of shit. So you never know what's going to happen to you on Twitter. You know what I mean? You never know what's going to happen. But once you press that post button, you're out there now. You can always press delete, but then people will always call you out on that. Oh, tweet and delete. You know what I mean? But I don't pay attention that much that I wouldn't even notice if you or anybody else did a tweet and delete. And I would be like, oh, maybe you just didn't like the way it was worded and deleted it. People always like to take people to task, and I don't sweat Twitter that much. I don't care what anybody does. Just like I don't care what anybody does for a living or in their own. I'm not a guy who cares much about what other people do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get you. So, did you want to review the shows from last night?
Which one?
We can start with NXT.
NXT was okay. I mean, I really didn't enjoy either show. I thought it was very subpar. I didn't like the thing with Keith Lee, and I love Cross, as you know. I love Scarlett. Keith Lee I like, but that whole thing with the book and the flame thing and Keith Lee overselling it was kind of stupid. Cameron Grimes is getting way too much TV time.
You and Draper just don't like the guy, do you?
Oh, no, we don't. And, like, me and my brother are funny. We're so opposite polar spectrum on certain things, and on other things we completely bond on. Kushida is a joke. The whole Marty McFly Back to the Future. It's so dated and corny. Is this guy really anything in Japan? Who's a fan of this guy? Kushida? Who fucking cares? What else is going on in that show? Mercedes Martinez, I like Aaliyah. I think Aaliyah, I like the visual of looking at her more than I like her in the ring. I like the Robert Stone guy. I think he reminds me of Jimmy Hart and a little bit of like a throwback manager from back in the day, but very Jimmy Hart-like qualities, annoying and that voice and whiny when he gets hit. People are saying Harvey Whippleman. I'm like, no. This guy is definitely influenced by Jimmy Hart. Doesn't have to have a megaphone and wear colorful jackets, just the wimpy, even though he was Robbie E in that bro team, with Mr. Pex or whatever back in TNA, if you remember years ago, that Jersey Shore thing.
Yeah.
But he lost a lot of weight now. He's very skinny now. He's very scrawny. And he's doing, again, it reminds me very much of a Jimmy Hart throwback. And I'm enjoying it. He's annoying, and you want to see him get hit, and that's the whole point. So everyone's like, "Oh, I can't stand him." I'm like, "That's the point. He's doing his job. You want to see him get knocked out. He's doing his job." So again, people are saying that, I just want him. No, it's go away heat. I'm like, no, it's not go away heat. He's an annoying manager. It's much different. He's not wrestling. What is he really taking away from you? He's the mouthpiece. He's not wrestling. So what do you go away heat for? What? He's only cutting a promo as a manager. That's always fun. How do you have go away heat for a manager? A manager gets such minuscule talk time. He's not in the ring. Go away heat is for competitors. It's not for managers. Everything else on that show, I just didn't care for the show at all. And then I watched AEW today, and again, I look at this show and I don't get it. And I don't get it because I'm old and I'm 52 and I know wrestling. Now, if Chris Jericho's the same age as me, so I guess he's old and don't get it either. To me, I do get it. I understand what cool is. I'm in a cool business. I work with bands like Hatebreed and Mastodon. That's pretty cool. I have a cool job. Had a cool job when we had clubs. I'm a wrestling podcaster. I know cool. I'm in the nightclub business. That's a cool job. I'm not I don't work in the post office and sort out mail and have this boring job or do insurance seminars. So I think I'm on the cutting edge of what's cool and hip. I don't know the latest, new tunes on, or games that came out, but I'm not in that age range. But the cool barometer, you could be 70 and know what's cool. Knowing what's hip and what's cool are two different things. I may not be on the hip side of what the new clothing styles are, but cool is cool. To this day, Elvis is cool, right? There's certain things that are cool in life. Clint Eastwood movies are cool. They're always cool. They're never going to go out of style. There's certain elements of things. Killer Cross, Karrion Kross's character is cool. You know what I mean? There's certain things that are cool. Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus and Marco Stunt are not cool. Okay? Tully Blanchard and Peyton Royce's husband are not cool. Okay? Orange Cassidy is not cool. What's cool about it? Explain that to me. I know, again, I'm a male. I'm a heterosexual male. I know what's cool for men. I don't get that. Like what? Oh, well, it's a young person. No, when I was 15, I would have thought Orange Cassidy was a fucking herb, as my brother John likes to use that word. It's a fucking, he's a fucking herb. Are you kidding me? This guy's a fucking herb. And even the way Chris Jericho looks now. Chris Jericho's cool. He's hanging out all over his clothes. He's bloated. He looks terrible. His hair's thinning. He's wearing hair extensions. What's cool about that? I don't understand the cool. Oh, WWE. I'm like, I don't know. I look at WWE guys. They look a lot cooler than AEW guys. There's just this uncool factor. And people, and you even saw in my post, podcasters forcing and trying to kid you into thinking that AEW was cool. No, AEW is hip. Let's separate it. It's hip. It's hip to like AEW. It's the hip thing. Doesn't mean it's cool, and it doesn't mean it's manly, and it doesn't mean it's fucking what everyone should get behind. It's just it's a buzzword for now. Next year at this time, I think AEW will be a memory. And I think with the shakeup at Time Warner and stuff like that and everything that's going on now in that company, their guy that signed them is gone. I think they're a sitting duck. Do you know what used to happen to record companies that used to sign bands and then that executive would get let go? That band would drop down the charts and they'd get released about a year later because they didn't have the guy in their corner who was the one who signed them. I think AEW might be in more trouble than anybody lets on. And their ratings are down. They lost 100,000 viewers this week.
Yeah.
So again, I just think that I don't get the coolness factor. Everyone's trying, it's the cool thing. Says who? Well, you're not 18. I'm like, well, neither are you. The person who's always telling me how old I am, by the way, is about 10 years younger than me, by the way. It's never anybody who's like a teenager. They're like 37. And I'm like, dude, you're over 35. Like, you're not cool either. You're grandpa to a teenager, too. You know, you're the age of their – if some 16-year-old and you're 37, you're probably closer to their dad's age than I am. So it's like I don't get it. I think there's just a mix-up of what people think is cool and what people think is hip. AEW is hip. It's hip to like AEW. Cool, not even close. I don't see anything that makes it cool. You know what's cool? Stare at Penelope Ford. That's cool. But Penelope Ford's the guy she's going to marry is not cool. Kip Sabian is not cool. You know what I'm saying? I'm surprised she's with him. Penelope Ford can do a lot better.
Yeah, I get you because, like, I've been saying, for the longest time, I think NXT is the better show, and not because I'm, a WWE cocksucker, but
no, it's not nothing to do with that. Yeah,
and say what you want about WWE. WWE knows how to market; they know how to make a show, and NXT. The only thing that's holding it back is that it was in the Performance Center. I've been saying, once we let crowds back in, which I think might be sooner rather than later, they need to think about, having NXT go on the road. But that's another conversation. But for the shows, it's just like, both shows are pretty bland. I think, personally, I'm still going to choose NXT last night over AEW. The whole cross burning Keith Lee's face. I thought that was dumb.
And I don't blame that on Cross. Had nothing to do with it, but I mean, he was part of the angle, but he had nothing to do with it. And it's a shame he has to take credit for it because he had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if they're trying to make Cross's character like supernatural or like the Undertaker. And
I think they just had a flame come out of a book. Hulk Hogan put folk. I don't think they're trying to make him supernatural. That's another thing. I don't think people even knew what they were talking about. It's like there's been flash things that have come out of people. Hogan used it on the Ultimate Warrior, Halloween Havoc. He's not a supernatural guy.
No. I'm not saying that's what they were doing. I was just like, I'm not sure what the point of that whole segment was, why they were trying to do that. But
to hurt Keith Lee. That's all. Just to hurt him.
Yeah, I got that, but I was just like, they probably could have done something else. But what's done is done. I'm still interested in seeing Lee and Cross. The rest of the show, bleh. I agree with you on Kushida. I don't understand the whole Marty McFly gimmick. What's his name? I was going to call him Brody Lee. Cameron Grimes. Another guy that sucks, by the way. Cameron Grimes, very over the top personality, just not my cup of tea. His
catchphrase is "to the moon." What does that even mean? That's his catchphrase. Did you know that? His shirt, "to the moon." That's in other words, my aspirations to the moon. Where do I go from here to the moon? But what does that have to do with a hillbilly guy wearing a hat with a lot of body hair to the moon? I'm not. That's what they came up for him. That's his catchphrase. Even he was saying it. He was looking at the North American title. Where do we go from here to the moon? I'm like, that's never going to catch on. That's stupid. What is that? Who came up with that? To the moon.
I could just picture you in your room seeing that and just going, "What the fuck does that even mean?"
Yeah, I know. I remember Ralph Cramden on The Honeymooners used to say, "You're going to the moon, bang to the moon." Like when he's talking about punching somebody, I'm going to knock you to the moon.
Oh,
right. But I'm saying to myself, like, and everyone's like, "Oh, he was on the independent circuit and worked in Japan and worked at Impact." Nobody gives a shit. Nobody fucking cares. It reminds me of Brad Pitt and Moneyball. You ever see the movie Moneyball?
No.
Okay. Art Howe, the manager for the Oakland A's, is trying to get a new contract, and he approaches Billy Beane. Great movie, Moneyball, by the way. If you didn't see it, see it. Mm. And he comes to Billy Beane, who's always a straight shooter and got himself in trouble being such a straight shooter. He's the general manager. And the manager of the A's comes up to the general manager and says, "Yeah, I can't manage this team unless I get a new contract." And then he starts going over his accolades to Brad Pitt's character of why he should get a contract. And Brad Pitt goes, because he goes, "I won 102 games last year." He goes, "Yeah, but you got eliminated in the series. And you know what? The next day, nobody gave a shit." Exactly. If you don't win the championship and you don't go all the way, you give your accolades of everything that you accomplished. But if you never won the big one and you never been into the big dance, nobody gives a shit. You know what I'm saying? Nobody cares. Like just me. Oh, I'm in podcasting for 17 years. Blah, blah, blah. Well, what have you done? Well, I could say, well, we were in Rolling Stone magazine as one of the top 20 podcasts in wrestling. Oh, okay, that's all right. That's something to brag about. Okay, that's something to hang your hat on. But there's other guys like, oh, I've been doing this for such and such. I'll be like, how many listeners have you cracked? 20? If bragging rights are only for people who really not only accomplish things, but plan on accomplishing even more. Like to lay your hat on past achievements. Just like in my business, I tell people, everyone's like, you're in the club business 28 years? And I'll say, yeah. And they'll say, oh, you deserve so much more. I'm like, I do. But you know what? Nobody gives a shit. Because right now I'm not doing any shows. You're only as good as your last show. Do you know what I mean, Drew? So it's hard. Believe me, and I don't like that I have to admit that, but it's a fact. Like I could tell you, wow, 28 years is impressive. Yeah, but I might not get to 30 now because they shut down my industry. So that might be it for me. And I go out on a real low note because I didn't even go out on a final big show sold out concert. I went out with a whisper instead of a roar. And that might be something I'll have to accept, and I'll eat my heart out over it for the next 20 years as long as I'm alive. But again, people, if you don't win the big one, you don't really make a big achievement. Nobody gives a shit about how long you're doing something. I mean, I went on and on about this point. Point being, Cameron Grimes worked the independent circuit, but so what? You know what I mean? Big deal. So do a lot of people. It's like, oh, this guy works hard. A lot of people work hard. My father worked hard. I'm sure your father worked hard, right?
Yeah.
Everyone works hard. So then we all deserve something, wouldn't we? What's the barometer on somebody working harder than somebody else, by the way? Is there a measuring stick on that? And in wrestling, does Naomi actually work harder than Sonya Deville? Does she? Is there a measuring stick on that? Well, she's around longer. Again, but that also means that she's been around longer and still not accomplished everything that she should have. Well, she's held back. Says you. Some people might say they don't have faith in her. Some people might say she doesn't deserve that push again. So again, there's all rhyme and reason to a lot of things that people say. You know what I mean? But my whole point is Cameron Grimes, every time I say something about him, people bring up to me how he's doing this on the independent circuit. But what does that mean for the big stage? Is he going to sell tickets? Is he going to sell merch? And I don't think he will. His look is shit.
Well, I was going to say, like, it does pay off to work hard, but it depends on what you can bring to the table. Like, thinking of a name, Drew McIntyre got fired from the WWE years ago, and he just made it his mission. I'm going to wrestle. I'm going to win championships. I'm going to, be better than I was before. And, flash forward years later, it's paid off. He's...
it paid off. He also... Yeah, but go look at him when he left here, what he looked like and what he looks like now, night and day.
No.
Cameron Grimes has to get a complete makeover.
No, I get you. I'm just making my point, and
But I got it.
No, yeah, Cameron Grimes works hard, but what does he bring to the table?
Exactly. I'm sorry, I'm getting a drink while I'm talking to you.
Eddie Guerrero, worked his ass off, to get better and get back into the company. He had a lot to offer because Eddie Guerrero was, charismatic as fuck and could go out there and have a 5-star match.
Was he good? Was he any good, Eddie Guerrero? I don't remember.
He was some guy, some Latino guy. So, but he came.
I can't stand his wife. I can't stand his wife. Ugh.
Oh, you're not a Vicky fan?
Oh, fuck her. Ugh. No thanks. From a visual and a verbal sense, no thanks. Every time I see her, she's a channel changer for me.
Yeah, well, I guess we'll just leave it at that. But yeah, I mean, just working hard does pay off, but it also matters what you can actually bring to the table. But
no, I agree. I mean, you gotta work smart too, not just work hard, work smart.
It's like my dad. My dad worked his ass off, but he also was able to bring something that could benefit the company he's working for. Like, he sold cars the majority of his life. When he lived in America, my dad could charm the pants off of anybody. He can charm an elephant. Like, he was just that good. And, he could sell to anybody. And it paid off for him. Before that, he was in the military. and he worked his ass off. But he was also he was able to form friendships. He was able to, make the right kind of relationships with the right people. I mean,
and he's not even Latin.
He's not Latin. He's not even Latin. We
always thought you were Latin, Drew.
Yeah, my dad is the sexiest Latin man in San Antonio. He's not even Latin. So, but going back to NXT, I think the highlight of the show was Damian Priest versus Bronson Reed. That was good. That was a good match because I like both guys. I've done a complete 180 on Damian Priest because when he first came in, I was not a big fan, and then not because I thought he was bad, but something about him wasn't clicking for me. And then he's really gotten a lot better in the ring. He has that cool factor. Like, we were just talking about.
He's cool. Exactly. He's cool. Exactly.
Like, he speaking of Latin, like, I told you before, he's like a cooler Scott Hall. And you can tell
he's a Latin Scott Hall.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he's actually Latin. And you can tell he was influenced by Scott Hall because, I think he does the Razor's Edge. And, he wears, that jacket that has that, blood on it, which is a la Scott Hall in WCW. And
he definitely is influenced by Razor Ramon. He definitely is. Oh,
exactly. And, when you hear him talk, he has like a man's voice. Like, he has that really deep, I'm a cool guy voice. So I've done a 180 on him. Another guy, Bronson Reed, I've done a 180. I know you said you're not a big fan of his.
Oh, I'm not a fan of him at all. I'm not a big fan of guys who look like Bull Dempsey. He's Bull Dempsey Part 2. I mean, just like that Bull Dempsey guy. I mean, I'm a big guy, and I can't stand big guys. I mean, I'm not as big as that guy. I'm 250. He's like 350. But like the whole, what do they call him? Chub Rock, or what's his nickname?
Thick boy.
Thick boy. And it's just like, I don't know. I'm not big on guys like that. I just like, I'm not, I don't. He got his ass whipped by Karrion Kross a month ago, and now went on a winning streak, and they let him pin Damian Priest. I don't know. I'm just not a fan of guys like that. He just reminds me of, if you remember Bull Dempsey or Bull James, whatever he's called, 5 years ago in NXT. He was the token 350-pound guy. I'm not big on guys like that. I was not a Vader fan. I'm not a heavy set wrestler fan. I just never have been. I've always liked the guys who are kind of in shape. And even if you're a fat guy, even if you're in fat guy shape, like Kevin Owens was, until Kevin Owens lost a lot of weight right now, he can't even go him fat, even though he still wears a shirt. I'm always curious of what his physique actually looks like. Has there ever been a photo of Kevin Owens without a shirt on?
Not that I know of. I think Kevin Owens wasn't really fat. I think he was just all gut.
No, he's all gut. Exactly. But I'm saying that, but let's call them the 300-pound plusers.
Yeah.
I just never been a fan of guys like that, Vader, Mick Foley. But I just don't, because people always think, you can relate to certain guys who are like every man. I'm like, I don't really see them as every man. I like the guys who are conditioned and don't necessarily have to be like the Ultimate Warrior Batista, but just the guys who just look like they are athletic, they are wrestlers, they are conditioned, cardio. I don't know. There's something about being a wrestler, I think, that, there's always been fat guys in wrestling. And Bronson Reed can be an in shape, out of shape guy, as they say. But there's just something, I don't know, visually not appealing to me about guys like that. Everyone's like, Vader's so awesome. I'm like, he's a big fat bully. Like, Mick Foley's so awesome. I'm like, he's a boxy, schlumpy guy who does, the high wire act. Like, he does Daredevil moves. But it doesn't, and he had a good personality, but he was funny, as Mankind and Mick Foley. But it just, from a visual sense, it just didn't appeal to me. I just kind of like, I always say to myself as a kid, would I have a poster of this guy on my wall? Or would I look up to him and dress up like him for Halloween? Nah. That's like Sting. Like, Sting was a guy, when Sting came out, I was 15 years old when he first came out from UWF. Mm-hmm. So again, it's relating and like being heroic in my eyes and looking from a young fan. Like, I look at Karrion Kross and forget that I know him, forget that we're friends. Just I see him and I'm like, that's a guy when I was 16 or 15, be a big Karrion Kross, poster, and right next to him would be his wife, his girlfriend Scarlett would be right next to him on the poster. So there's my guy who likes girls thing, and there's my guy who looks up to guy tough wrestlers thing. Right there, you get a 2-for-1. So again, but Bronson Reed, I look at him like, who's he appealing to? Probably like the middle, probably
Kids.
just like a certain. No, I don't think he appeals to kids. The kids want to see Bronson Reed.
He
Call him thick boy.
I don't know, man. Everybody has an audience.
Do they? We don't.
I don't know. The point I was trying to make before you just decided to just shit all over this guy. But I like Bronson Reed, and what's weird is because you said you didn't get why he's going on this win streak after Karrion Kross just
Yeah, why they're putting the gas behind him when he was like a jobber a month and a half ago? I mean, but again, I'll give my partner Don Tony credit that you never give up on every time they're buried, they're done. Nope. It never ever say that. It never happens. Usually, just like Velvet, we can talk about Velveteen Dream in a little bit too. He's back. Ruby Riott back, winning streak now for the last 3 weeks. He's right. Like, I'll give Anthony credit when he's right. You never give. No one is ever fully buried. It's never over till it's literally over. So everyone who goes like, "That's it for them," you'll never say. Don't listen. In wrestling, not only you never say never, but there's always another second, third chance right around the corner. From even Dolph Ziggler was back in the title picture a month ago, where 3 months ago he was off TV for 3 months. Again, wrestling is so no other place do you see that, right, Drew? Like if you watch football, baseball, someone's on the bench. They're only getting off the bench if someone gets hurt and they're filling in. But other than that, they're just like, this guy's on a hot streak, so he's going to play. That's very rare, you know what I mean? But wrestling, there's always a second, third, fourth life in wrestling, and you don't even have to change your gimmick.
Yeah, like with Apollo Crews, like he was a guy that,
There's a good example, yeah.
They tried to do something with, and they just, for 4 years, he was in catering, they didn't, here's the thing, I don't think they knew what to do with him because they just looked at him as like, oh, you're just another guy that can do flips. What else can you do? It's, going back to our conversation earlier, what have you done for me lately? Like, what else can you do besides flips? And, COVID, it's been the worst thing to happen to wrestling. It's also kind of been the best thing because now you have guys who are given the spotlight. You have the Hurt Business, and they're probably the best thing about Raw. You got MVP who's been able to get a second life in wrestling. You got Bobby Lashley, who had that really just awful, storyline with Lana, and now he looks legit. Shelton Benjamin, and I'm with you on Shelton. I love Shelton. And if Shelton Benjamin can get TV time, I'm good. If he can get some wins, if he can look important, I'm good. Apollo Crews has looked important, and I'm happy for him. I'm also happy that WWE didn't just like put him right back in catering after he had after he got COVID. As soon as he came back, they put him back in his spot, and I'm happy for him. And like with Bronson Reed, we'll finish this out. And we'll just talk about the Velveteen Dream thing in a bit. With Bronson Reed, the whole thing with Cross, I thought that was interesting because usually they're treating him like a job guy. And, Karrion Kross came out and just beat the shit out of him. Usually in WWE logic, they would have just said, oh, tonight, Bronson Reed's going to wrestle Karrion Kross. They would just announce it like the day of the show. No, they actually gave it some semblance of a storyline where Bronson Reed came out the next week and said, hey, Karrion Kross, you want to fight me? Let's go. And that just kind of opened my eyes a little bit. I'm like, this is interesting. So, but yeah, I like Bronson Reed. That's pretty much all I'm going to say, and you're not a fan of his, and that's good. That's good that we can disagree on something. But
no. Did you know, by the way, AEW started making cuts today?
I did not know who got cut.
B. Priestley, Jimmy Havoc, Strong Hearts, Sadie Gibbs, and they're announcing a bunch more.
Huh. So it's kind of is that a lot of the the overseas talent that got cut?
Oh, well, yeah. Well, COVID they're cutting a lot of talent. They're not flying anybody in anymore. And they're also just getting rid of people they just don't need.
Yeah,
I
and
think
also,
I think Joey Janela is going to be going next.
good. Like, and I think Jim Cornette and Brian Last kind of touched base on that with Joey Janela, which is they kind of put out the insinuation that a lot of people in the back are not fans of Joey Janela. Like a lot of not just agents, but like I don't even think AEW has agents, but a lot of the wrestlers and people and higher ups are not fans of Joey Janela. So he might end up. That's kind of freaky that you say that, because Jim Cornette was just literally talking about it. So
Yeah, no, I heard him say it, but he hates him anyway. I don't think that a lot of times I listen to Cornette and Brian Last, they're just trying to, again, get bragging rights for saying something and trying to be on, oh, see, we said, but that's more like personal because they don't like the guy. So it's a little bit different. That's another thing about podcasts is their arrogance of being right. You'll never hear the end of it. It's like, oh, we called it. I'm like, did really call it? It's like seeing a dark cloud and then rain comes. I called it. So it kind of was inevitable, wasn't it? I mean, he's not very good, and he's annoying, and he's got a shit physique, and he's very one-dimensional. I mean, eventually, eyes will open and realize we don't need this guy. Now, he hasn't been cut yet. That's just babble right now. That's nothing's come to fruition. But if he does, it's no big, there's no big to do. I mean, it's to me, it's like no shock. It's like if they cancel DTKC, nobody's surprised.
I would be very surprised.
Canceled in the fall. The fall season. They're canceling us. We're going to what's the name of that network that has Impact?
Oh,
what was the name of that? Remember the
Access?
No, the one where people couldn't find it. Remember?
Oh, Pop TV.
Yeah, I can't remember the name. It was something with a P. I can't remember the name.
Yeah, it was Pop TV.
What was it?
Pop TV.
Plot TV?
Pop, P-O-P.
No, that's not it. It was something else. I can't remember. I can't remember the name of it. It was some like hunting channel.
Oh yeah. I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not that funny on Thursdays. I'm usually funny on Monday, Sunday, and Friday. So I should have warned you on Thursdays. I'm not as funny.
I think you're very hilarious tonight.
Nah, I'm not. I'm not really on my game tonight. But then again, in fairness, I've only slept 2 hours in the last 3 days because of Amy meowing and throwing up. So my sleep game has been off. So that's why I'm drinking actually coffee as I'm talking to you.
Oh man, you don't need to apologize for anything, Kev.
Yeah, thank you.
But let's get to the Velveteen Dream making his return to NXT. Very unexpected. I just remember, they're trying to make a big deal about, who's the third participant, and they just start playing his music, and I just kind of went, oh, okay. Jeff Littman, shout out to Jeff. I put on Twitter, I'm like, so I guess the charges were dropped, and he just, I think, I don't have the tweet in front of me, but he just said, well, there were never any charges filed. So
charges off of Velveteen Dream. Well, yeah. Matter of fact, speaking of Jeff Littman, if he hears this, by the time he hears it, probably be tomorrow. I'm doing a show with Jeff and Shaheen. Shaheen, the graphics guy.
Mm-hmm.
Tomorrow, I'm doing something with Jeff. Then I think on the 30th, I'm going to do the show with him and Shaheen on Sunday. I think the 30th of August. But tomorrow, I'm doing a special show with Jeff Littman, so it should be fun.
Oh, is it going to be on his show or your show?
No, it's going to be on his show. I don't have any show. I don't have a show. I'm just a professional guest. I'm not even going to be on DTKC for like the next 2 weeks.
Oh, why? What happened?
I think I got suspended. I'm not even sure. I just got suspended for giving an opinion. No, I'm only kidding. I'm actually taking like an end of summer break, and I had an option for this 2 weeks or the end of August into the beginning of September, but I'd rather take it now because of what's going on with Amy, because Amy gets a bad diagnosis and I got to deal with her illness or whatever. I'm kind of be out of it, and I don't want to be, bogged down to having to, meet the rigorous demands of DTKC on Mondays for the next 2 weeks. I'd rather take off now And then unfortunately, I won't be doing a SummerSlam recap. No big deal, especially under these conditions. Who gives a shit? But I'd rather do the end of August and do it and kick off beginning of September. And then I'll take off these 2 weeks, and I think DT will take off the following 2 weeks. And when I do those 2 weeks on my own, I'll either do solo or I'll have my brother come on as a guest or Mish. I don't know. I'll see what I'll do with my 2 weeks. But the next 2 weeks, I believe I am going to be off, or at least I submitted my paperwork to be off. It hasn't been processed yet, though.
Yeah, you have to submit in paperwork to DT?
Yeah, you have to file paperwork.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I mean, if you ever need any help, if you want me to fill in for anything, just I'll help you out, man.
Yeah. That'll happen on DTKC. Like never. That's what I told you. That there's like 3 hosts that go on that show. It's Mish, Joe, and John. And even John is a long shot most of the time. It's usually always Mish or Joe. That's Anthony's choice. I mean, I don't even bother to even fight it. When I do my own thing down the road, I'll have, as many guests as I want. I'll do whatever I want because I really don't like people telling me what to do. I never did, and I'm having a less tolerance for it now. But again, I respect the fact that, that's his YouTube channel now. It's a different ball game now with the show, and the only way I can rectify that is to start my own YouTube channel and do my own thing next year, which I'm going to do. But I always do DTKC. As long as Anthony wants to do it, I'll do it with him, and if it becomes a exclusive Patreon show, which there's talk about that happening. I'm not sure what the future is of DTKC. I have no idea. I have asked about it. I've inquired about it. Haven't got a real response yet. But I'm not sweating it because I want to do other things too. Anthony's been doing other things. I think it's probably time for me to do that too. But again, if we keep it to get the band together, so to speak, I'm not sure if it goes to Patreon. But 2021, I don't know. I'm not sure. I know we're committed to the rest of this year, but beyond that, I'm not sure.
I mean, that'd be a shame if, the Monday night show ends up ends up, changing.
I don't know. It won't change. It'll change probably the way it's aired. I'm just speculating because there's nothing set in stone yet at all. I mean, I know, unfortunately, Anthony has a habit of going on the air and saying stuff to fans and being cryptic and confusing people. I don't know why he does that. And it's not taking a shot at him. It's real. What I'm saying is factual. And then there's people like, Kev, did you hear that? I'm like, no, I don't know anything that's going on. And I've had this conversation with Mish, and it just is ridiculous. Like, let me know what's going on. That's it. And so I'm like, hands up in the air, like that cartoon character's like shrugging shoulder. I have no idea. But I'm not sweating it either way. I'll do it. I won't do it. You got to be kidding if you don't think, talking to myself in the third person there, if Kevin Castle's not going to latch on to another show, I'll get another show in about 5 minutes. You know what I'm saying? All I got to do is post free agent. I'll have 100 people call me in about an hour. You know what I mean? So, to me, listen, 2020 was not at all what I thought it was going to be in my real podcasting is a very small part of my life. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's not my life. It's never going to be I never aspired it for to be my life. This is no secret or exclusive you get right now. I've been very open about that. Other people aspire to do something or be on YouTube. If I want to do it, I'll do it. If not, I have other things I want to do. I'm not done in my business yet, in the club business. I have unfinished business to do. That's my first priority is get my gig back. Do you know what I mean? So starting a new show or doing something with Russ, that's secondary. Plus this gig doesn't pay enough to live on. You know what I'm saying? So I have to do something, put my time into something that's going to pay the bills, keep a roof over my head. Unless you want me to do a podcast from a refrigerator box in an alleyway. You know what I mean? So again, we'll see what happens next year. I get offers all the time. People always hit me up. What are you going to do? What do you want to do? You want to do this? I have this idea. So I'll listen to all ideas. The one thing I'll say, and I'll say it right now, I don't mind saying, you might even get an exclusive. Anybody who has a suggestion, wants to do something with me, it's got to do something. It's got to move the needle. It's got to be something that is mainstream and that we are a factor in something. I'm not going to just join another team and will rest on the accolades that I had a name on the DTKC show and I'm just taking a gig. Like, if I do something next, I want to do something that really, I'm going to be a player and a major factor. Because I get people all the time say I'm underrated, I'm underutilized, I'm almost like kept in like a a special little box where it's like convenient for other people, but I haven't broke out like I should have. But that's on me. That's on me that I haven't broken out as big as I should have at this point. That's on me, first and foremost. I cannot blame Anthony. I can't blame Mish. I can't blame anybody but myself because nobody owns me. I can do whatever I want. But I get lackadaisical sometimes in this thing because I don't want to commit to something when my heart is in the club business. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I get you.
Yeah, my heart's in another business right now, and I'm missing it, and I haven't done it in 5 months, and my bands are all waiting to play out and tour again, and we don't know what's going on, and it's hard for me to, like, and wrestling, like I said, I've always done my gigs in Patreon. I show up early, I stay late, I do after chats for 2 hours on my own time. I give everybody their money's worth, but and on Monday, we have limited talk time. The show doesn't run as long. I don't control the tempo of the show, but and again, it's the only mainstream show I do. So like when I'm not on for the next 2 Mondays, I have no mainstream show and I'm just on Patreon and basically a couple hundred people are hearing me instead of thousands. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So anything I do next will be, I want to do something on the level of DTKC or beyond that. But even a DTKC level to me has always been cool by me. I never thought, listen, years ago doing this show, you're a podcaster now. I don't know how long you're doing. How long are you doing podcasting?
It'll be 3 years in January.
Yeah, I mean, again, when we started doing Don, Tony, Kevin Castle and getting picked up by all these different places to air the show and then getting on Pandora and I give Anthony a lot of credit for that, for being so persistent and getting us in the ears and in the eyes of a lot of people. And basically, again, as much as I can get mad at Anthony and I mad at him for valid reasons, but I love him for other reasons because, again, during this time, if I didn't have this gig and do what I do, I would be dead. I mean, literally dead, like dead in the ground, dead. I mean, would I find a way? Would I do something? I don't know. I can't really say. But the podcasting thing has been a salvation for me, just not from a financial. It's been very limited, but just for a spiritual venting, an escapism for me. Everyone says how much I've helped them through this thing. They've helped me as much as anything else. Like it definitely would have drove me like batshit to not have an outlet and a platform. And not just about, because it's so much more about wrestling. Even tonight, when we talk about wrestling, we talk about life. And that's really, no podcast can be all about wrestling. Look at Wrestling Soup, right? Half the time, even Misha's like, I don't even want to talk about wrestling. And I don't blame him. I don't blame him. You got to be entertaining and informative and just keep people interested. That's why even things I'm thinking about, like people say, we should do an all music metal podcast. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I will do that. Maybe I won't even do a wrestling podcast in a year. Maybe I'll just do a music thing. I know about as much about that as I do about wrestling, but it all depends. Again, I can't stress this enough. Anything I do down the road, I want it to be a factor. I don't want to just do it to do it. You know what I mean? So if I put together a whole new team with a producer, co-hosts, stuff like that, putting together a whole new thing, basically pulling a Cody Rhodes, right? And come up with a whole new thing and get a backer or whatever, which I think I can get. I want it to mean something. You know what I mean? And even if it fails, we tried the best we could. Yeah,
I get it. Like you know your worth. Like, I forgot who said this, but fuck the cheap shit. Like you want to actually be on a winning team and not just start from scratch again. And I understand that. I respect that.
Yeah, no, and it's not. And listen, again, we can go back and forth. And again, it's not cheap shots at Anthony or anything like that. Anthony's production and all equipment is great, but there's also a thing where you don't have, people don't have the money to go out and buy $5,000 setups and all these things. Yeah. Sometimes, you can get the main thing about a show. Yeah, the production is important. I got it, blah blah blah. But you have to have the talent. That's like a band you sound great, but if you sound like shit, if your songs are shit. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. The band sounds great, but the guitar player can't play and the songs have no fucking chorus and they're garbage. But at the production, like big thumbs up. But the band sucks. You know what I mean? So it's not, if you're not Zeppelin, then it doesn't mean shit. You got to put a tune out that people are going to be humming when they leave the club and be like, I'm going to go buy that shirt. If the band sucks, so people don't go out and brag about. again, Drew, I've done a lot of concerts, and I can't even tell you that anybody who's ever thought the band sucked but still bragged about the sound quality. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Ugh.
The main thing is the talent was good, and then they say, and they sounded great. So again, the sound production is important on shows. I know it's very important to Anthony, but what's important to me is you're entertaining, you're informative, and you're likable on the air, and you're relatable. That needs to happen too. And so you put all that stuff together, and then you will be on a winning team. But you have to have the personalities. Otherwise, you're just a show that has good sound but shit quality as far as content goes.
Yeah, it's like it's funny that you said it sounded great. It's like something's bad when you're not actually pointing out the talent. You're just pointing out everything around them. It's like when you watch a movie and you see reviews and they're just pointing out, oh, I like this person's shoes in this one scene.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's all important. I'm not being dismissive of that, the fact of that. But I think also, to me, the first thing you talk about is, how the show itself, like how we're going to do. We're going to be entertaining, and do I click with my co-host, and does this work? And how we're going to present ourselves as a new ensemble, and just like stuff like that means a lot to me. That's like when the Trez thing, going back 3-4 years now, is I don't know if I ever told you this, is I was intentionally looking for a female co-host. It wasn't that, all due respect to Trez, there was a couple other people in the running, right? But I had to figure out who I had the best chemistry with. So what I did is I talked on the phone to several people on private phone call on my house. And I think Trez will tell you the story, and it's a true story, that we talked on New Year's Eve, the day after New Year's Eve, well into the morning. And I think we were on the phone for 9 hours, no joke, true story. And it was a no-brainer that this was the one who was going to do the show with me. It was a no-brainer. But because the other people, it's not that I talked on the phone the longest, Trez. It was the way, the camaraderie, the click, the connection, the back and forth. There was no silent awkwardness at all ever. Talked to 3 different people, and that's the way that went down. A lot of people know it, some people don't. Maybe you're hearing that for the first time, I'm not sure. But again, so that was important to me. It wasn't like just put a girl on the show, or just put my brother on the show. To make sure there's camaraderie. Everyone says how great me and my brother are together on the show. Of course, we grew up together. I got my brother into wrestling. John will even say Kevin got me into wrestling. I took my brother to wrestling. I'm 3 years older than him. So when I was a teenager, he was 11. I was 15. 14. So again, I was his big brother. He wasn't always he. As we got older, he became my big brother because he's bigger than me and he looks older than me. Now he looks older than I do, but he's almost become my big brother. But in the early years, he was following me around. I was the wrestling guy, and he was following his brother's lead. But that's why we click, and we shared a room together for 13 years and had posters on the wall on his side. He had the Steiner brothers and Sting, and on my side, I had the Von Erichs and Macho Man. You know what I'm saying? So, of course, we were going to do a good show together. Because some people say, well, I have a brother, and me and my brother couldn't talk for 2 hours ever. I never got that because I always figured brothers will click. I don't know if you have any siblings. Do you have any brothers or sisters?
I have 1 brother and 2 sisters.
How do you? Can you ever envision being on the podcast or having them on your podcast and having an entertaining conversation? Could you ever do that?
I don't want to get into the whole story, but it's just I'm at a point where I have a better relationship with my brother than I ever did before. I mean, we're not mega close. We're not super close. We're okay. My 2 other sisters, we don't have a relationship.
Oh, I'm sorry, but I'm just saying. So if you had your brother though on, it'd probably be fun because you know each other and you can tell stories of when you grew up and stuff. So I always thought it was a no-brainer that I'm always so funny. So you and John click so well on the show. I'm like, we're brothers. We're real life brothers. We lived in the same house for many, many years, and we're only 3 years apart. But I guess some people don't click with their family members and stuff. Now, the funny thing is, and John will admit this too, that me and John don't click that well outside of wrestling and music. Because outside of that, we have nothing in common at all, 0. Like even the girls he marries and attracts are way different. The girls that I date would never date my brother John. The girls that he marries would never date me. So it's kind of funny that that's how much difference we are. Every time I meet some of my brothers dating, the first thing I say is, and I would not out of a physicality looks, they're attractive women, but we wouldn't click as far as what we're into goes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What we're into, and even from different foods to different ways of life. And my brother John likes to leave the windows open in the wintertime where snow comes in your house through the window. And I'm a guy who shuts the windows in the winter because it's psychotic to have windows wide open in the wintertime in your house. So, I mean, we're just different people. He's always hot. You know what I mean? I'm always hot too. I love cold. Don't get me wrong. But I'm not keeping windows wide open in February in my bedroom. That just doesn't work for me.
Yeah,
my brother likes snow. My brother likes snow indoors. I don't get that.
That's pretty odd. Yeah, I get that because you can have good chemistry in real life, but you go on a podcast, that's a different ball game. It's it's like, for example, one of my closest friends, since childhood, when I first started this show, I got him on for a few episodes, and it didn't work. It didn't click because he would want to do things differently than what I was doing. And he was actually trying to tell me how to run the show. I'm like, motherfucker, this is my podcast. I'd be talking about something, and he would do this thing that would literally annoy the shit out of me. I would be talking, and all of a sudden he would do the equivalent of hey, let's move on to the next topic, and I'm like, motherfucker, I'm getting this look like, motherfucker, are you serious? And it's just I barely just got started on this topic, and you were just talking for 5 minutes. So isn't
it great when you get respect from certain friends, and then there's other certain friends that just don't? I don't know if it's not respect you. I have friends like that too. I have friends who kind of take every word I say as gospel, and that, Kev's word is good, or, well, Kev said this, so I'm going to go with what Kev said. And then there's other people who just fight you on everything, or just try to micromanage what you're telling them, and just got to give you a hard time over everything. So, I mean, I get that too. I have friends like that too. And I try not to hang around with those friends who got to fight me on every fucking thing. I try and hang around with them as little as possible, because I find that really annoying. Not that I always have to be right. I can definitely take guidance, and again, I'm a team player. I can be, very Q&A type of guy, because I want to know what's going on, and I could be a nudge and stuff like that. God, Lord knows, ask Mish. But that's only done because I feel sometimes in the dark about stuff, and I don't like feeling in the dark about things. And I always think if you let people know, see, if someone tells me, like Trez, if Trez says to me, I would feel bad if she says, I don't feel like I know what's, I'm saying hypothetically, I don't feel like I know what's going on. I don't feel like I talk to you unless it's show day. I feel like we should talk more and communicate a little bit better. And I would say, oh, okay. Some people get into such defensive mode. Well, I'm busy and blah, blah, blah. You ever have people like that where you tell them how you're feeling about something, and you want them to kind of feel, kind of bond with, kind of, okay, yo, Drew, I'm sorry, you feel that way. I apologize. But instead they double down and are like, well, I'm busy. I'm sorry that you don't feel, I can't give you the attention that you want. And it's funny, I have two sets of friends like that who will be like that. You have the nice friends who are like, oh, Kev, I'm sorry if I offended you, whatever. Bro, I love you. I didn't mean to do that. And then I have the people, and even my brother John's like that. He doubles down. He's got to be a tough guy. And I can't stand that. So I try and hang around people like that as little as possible. I still love them, but I can't deal with people who are always in defense mode where they can't say, my bad, I apologize. I have no problem telling people I'm sorry. If I ever offend anybody and they come at me and say, hey, Kev, I was a little upset with you last week, I'll say, hey, tell me, okay, I'll hear you out and I'll apologize. People, if you can't apologize in life, you're going to have a rough time. You have to be, that's another thing in podcasting, you're going to be humbled at some point. I can tell you right now.
Yeah, exactly. And what you just said, people like that who try to do the whole, well, I'm busy, and they try to, victim
make you feel like a jerk. Yeah. Make you feel like a jerk. Victim shame. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, those aren't the real friends. The real friends are the ones that are willing to stay up until 2 a.m. to try and help you with your problems. Whether it's through text or phone. Yeah. And I have friends like that. I have friends. Just last night I was, it was kind of like a combination of like everything was hitting me at once, and I was on the verge of tears because.
I'm sorry to hear that.
I mean, nothing too bad, but it's just like, I'm not going to get into it too much, but like, my current job, I have to take a class for fingerprinting, and I had failed the second week back in February, so since I passed the first week, I'm allowed to retake the second week. And they literally just brought this up to me last week, where it's like, okay, so I signed you up on the 31st of August to retake the class. I'm like, well, fuck, I have 3 weeks to remember all this. So I was just kind of freaking out thinking about it. And then just personal stuff, with me and my girl. Me and my girl are fine, by the way. But it's just like
okay.
Things that are internally going on with me. And it was all hitting me at once, and I just started like crying. I'm like, and it wasn't like a wailing cry. It was more just like, I was just sitting there, and all of a sudden it just hit me, and I just had tears running down my face. I'm like, what the fuck is going on with me?
I know, I hear you, bro. I got the same feeling when I got the bill yesterday.
Yeah, that.
No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't judge you even if that was true. It's just like. I don't mean to like compare my problems to yours. You're
of course.
If anyone has a right to complain, it's you. If anyone has a right to say no, I'm not trying to like blow smoke, but it's just you're going through a lot. You lost your job, and it's just this COVID thing it's hurting everybody. And if anyone has a right to say fuck this, fuck COVID, it's you.
Well, that's why I admire Don Tony, because he doesn't give me any sympathy whatsoever, so I admire that. Cold-hearted motherfucker. God bless him, though. No, but in all seriousness, again, they always say, what's that phrase, God won't give you any more than you can handle or can handle. And I think everybody has a breaking point. What you just said, I was totally hearing what you said with, you had like a breakdown kind of well up moment, like tear up moment, well up moment. I've had those in the last few weeks. I've had them privately, talk to a couple of friends, talk me off a ledge a little bit. I have a very good circle of friends, female and male, that thank God for. I mention them on the show often. James, Mike, Rob, Jay, who's a female, Izzy, female. I have who call and worry about me and care about me. He will do anything for me. Lily, who my friend today, who called me and wanted to make sure that I, am not impoverished and going to be destitute over what's going on with Amy. Let's make sure I'm all right. Because I've done right by a lot of my friends. When you do right by people, people care about you. There's no mystery to why people flock to somebody. And I think if anybody, can't get why people like Kevin Castle, it's nothing to do with fucking podcasting. There's nothing to do with, making ha-has on a fucking podcast. It has to do with the human being behind the curtain who you get to know, who people have been in my home, who've been with me and seen me around the cats in my neighborhood with the cat colony, been in my backyard and experience everything that I talk about, not just envision what I'm talking about, but actually know all about it. Like my friend James Ryder on, and I would tell him, he knows everything about me, the good, the bad, and the ugly. There's other people who think they know about me, don't know anything about me, couldn't even tell you my mother's first name, wouldn't even tell you what house I lived in, and supposedly know me for years. Until you really know the person, the only way you'll ever question why people like or support anyone, just like you. Oh, I love Drew. I love Drew. I don't get it. Why do you love Drew? If you don't get it, it's because you don't know Drew. You don't know Trez. You don't know me. I always laugh at people who don't get why people are popular. Because then you aren't paying attention. And if you don't have that popularity, that's something you're doing wrong. That we talked about it before as a podcast, of connecting to people, likability. All due respect to certain podcasters, they can give away prizes and try to buy people's affections, and you could be Conrad and give away a trip on possibly give away a trip, give away a trip. Conrad gives away. These are big podcasters who maybe have deep pockets, but I think you give people. I said this before. There's people who can give prizes in money, but there's people who give you their time. Means just as much as anything else. I told you on the phone calls that I made. Though the guys look at it as they can call into a show, but a lot of wrestling fans. I don't know if anybody pays attention in our community, but you know what I've learned talking to a lot of people in private, Drew, on the phone, on private phone calls between just me and them. They don't want to be on the air, and they're a little phone shy, and they're a little bit on air shy. They don't want to call into the show because they feel like they might get mocked, or they freeze up. Whoa, you're on the air. What's your question? Some people babble a little bit, and and then if they ask a question, they feel the host might mock them. I get it. It's very nerve-wracking to go on the air in front of thousands of people and stuff like that. And then you're being recorded, and if you trip up and make a mistake, you feel like that's always going to be there. Because Lord knows the show will never edit it out, because God forbid they look out for anybody. But I get that. I the other day I tripped up on DTKC because Amy was throwing up inside, and I was looking, and I had my headset half on, and Don Tony's asking me a question towards the latter part of the show, and I'm like, yeah, and he asked me something about the women and Battle Royal, and I kind of got half asked the question, and he was asking me what woman are you interested now, maybe winning this thing, and I said, Sonya Deville. So he really, and I'm like, yeah, what's wrong with that? So I did miss a little piece because I had my headset half off. But again, something real life is going on in my house. I can't be 100% on point. If there's a fire in my house, I'm going to disconnect from the fucking podcast. It's a fucking wrestling podcast. My cat's health and life means more to me than the show. Sorry, but it does. There's the wrestling show does not mean more to me than my real life friends and family. You know what I'm saying? If there's a choice, rescue Trez from a burning building or disconnect from the DTKC show, goodbye. You know what I mean? That's what you're supposed to do. My cat is choking inside. I'm not going to be like, oh, this is going to sound bad for DTKs. Fuck that. That's my fucking kid. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And if some troll's trying to take me to test, oh, Kevin sounded like he wasn't paying attention. Douchebag. My fucking cat is sick and going through something. And if she had cancer and is dying, you feel pretty stupid saying that now. So I was pretty pissed off when I saw people write stuff. And I was just like, what a bunch of assholes. They didn't even know what I was distracted by. They're just assuming I wasn't paying attention. Little do they know I could have, shot myself in the fucking leg with cleaning a revolver. They don't know what's going on. So again, that's the bad part of podcasting. We get stupid-ass wrestling fans, mostly nameless, faceless trolls. They never even have a real name. Their name is Johnny 5 or Easy Bake Oven 62 or something like that. I'm gonna take Easy Bake Oven's word over Trez's. But again, that's the shitty part of it. But the great part of it is people writing me and saying, Kev, you sound distracted. Something happened? Because they know me. They're like, you sound like something happened. And I say, yeah, my cat is really sick. Yeah, no, I saw you've been posting about that. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, dude, man. You should have just, told DT I got to pause the show. See, I didn't want to do that because not for nothing. Again, this is hard for me to say. I don't think DT gives a shit. I don't think he gives a shit about me. I don't think he gives a shit about my cat. I don't think he gives a shit about my brother John. I don't think he cares. Again, and that's just how I feel. I should be more offended by that than him. But if he comes off like that, and people think that, someone wrote the other day on a thread, yeah, DT hates Kevin Castle's guts. And I wrote back, and why would he hate my guts? 17 years of loyalty, 17 years of working, 14 years out of 17 never getting paid for the show. What would he hate my guts about? I just thought that was an interesting comment. Did he ever say he hates my guts on the air? And if he did, play me the clip, and we're going to have a big problem. No, he didn't say it. It was just somebody. And I thought it was surprising that thing was allowed to be there. And lo and behold, it was the comment was deleted when I went back to see it, by the way. So if anybody should get mad about shit like that, it's me. You know what I'm saying? Hates my guts? For what? Why would you hate my guts? And if you do, here we are, man to man. Go at it. Say it. Never going to happen. But I don't believe that he said that, but it's someone trying to start trouble. And I would never leave some troublemaker's comment on disparaging my teammate. Would you?
Fuck that. If you're gonna say shit about somebody, yeah, you need to be smart enough to at least say it in private, and not for the whole world to see.
Exactly. That's my point. You think I ever would expect Mish to allow on his timeline someone to say something horrible about Joey. Never stay there. Never happen. I don't even want to hear that it happened and I just didn't see it. It would never happen. I think my brother John, there has been people who've taken shots at Joey and Mish to my brother John. My brother John immediately took up for them. You know why? Because my brother was raised by my father. I was raised the same way. You take up for your teammates. That's what you're supposed to do. And guess what? If you don't take up for your teammates, at least pretend that you do. You know what I mean? You're not getting cool points because you're letting your boy get thrown under a bus. And again, if you're on the same team, you back your teammates. I don't see it any other way, Drew. No one's going to talk me into any other scenario. You know, Derek Jeter and Alex Rodriguez supposedly didn't like each other on the Yankees. But guess what? They won championships together, and they were on a winning team together, weren't they?
Yeah, exactly. You know, Kobe and Shaq didn't get along, and what is it? 3
exactly,
championships?
Right, 3 championships. But guess what? In the end, Shaq admitted that he did have love for Kobe, and Kobe had love for Shaq. And Derek did respect Rodriguez for what he did because he did contribute to the team. If you have that, you can have respect without having this love and brotherhood for each other, but you can respect each other, you know? And again, I respect Anthony. Does he respect me? He'll say he does. But the thing that bothers me is why wouldn't he? I've given 17 years of my life to this thing. 2003, I came on a hotline. I did it on my own time. Never asked for anything. He could say all the money he spent and whatever, but he was going to spend that anyway. He doesn't spend more because I'm on the show. You know, and I never aspired to be a producer or production on the show. Maybe I should have learned that stuff. That's not a reason to disparage my talents on the show. That's ridiculous. When was the last time John Draper produced a show? My brother doesn't even know how to connect to the internet half the time. You know what I'm saying? And admittedly, that's not a shot at my brother. My brother will admit that.
Yeah.
You know how many times in the early days, or you know how many times in the early days my brother missed show because he didn't have a connection? So again, it's an imperfect thing, but you always back your teammates. But again, I'll always be grateful, regardless of down the road where anything goes, for the opportunities and for giving me my break, so to speak. But I would always think that a teacher would take pride in their student becoming good at their craft. It doesn't make sense for the teacher to disparage the student. It's always the student that's jealous of the teacher. It's not the teacher that's jealous of the student. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get you. It's just, what's
the student always turns on the teacher. Larry Zabisco turned on it's not the teacher turns on the student. It's a weird thing. It's a weird thing. But again, we do a hell of a show together, and I think that Don Tony Kevin Castle show will go down as, I think, one of the best podcasts in wrestling because of our knowledge was just so good. I mean, of everything we did. And this is not some kind of, telling prediction of that there won't be any more show. But there'll be a show as long as we want it to be. It's up to both of us. But regardless, just to put it out there, just to you, we're just talking here. I think we have one of the best shows. I think we are one of the best. Mm-hmm. Didn't surprise me we got ranked in Rolling Stone. Didn't surprise me. I thought we were as good as any of those podcasts. Matter of fact, when I look at those podcasts that we were ranked alongside, I thought only Jericho's and Steve Austin's and Jim Ross were better. I thought we were better than everybody else on that list.
No,
except the Drew Yari show.
Yeah, I mean, you got to keep up, man. No one can be as good as me. I'm like lightning in a bottle, dude.
Well, yeah, I mean, you do you do your own thing. There's people who, do this for the love of it, and there's people who do this because they want to get to a certain level, or they aspire to be, the next Solo Monster, or even the next Don Tony, or the next Conrad. To me, the best compliment you can get as a podcaster is someone saying, "Yeah, I've been listening to your show," and listen, I don't think. People always tell me how big we are in podcasting. When Conrad invited us to be on the dais for what is that thing? All In, what was the name of that Starcast thing?
Yeah, Starcast.
Yeah, to be on the dais and stuff like that. And of course, we didn't do it, but it's nice to even be invited or even to be considered. Because again, I have mixed feelings about being a podcaster. There's times I think we're good, and there's other times I think we said that. I'm harder on myself than anything else. I hate when I'm having a good podcast and then just something goes wrong technically or something, whether it's my end or their end or whatever, and I'm like, fuck, man. Like people think I don't. That's the funny thing. People think I don't care, but I don't sell it. I care a lot off the air. Like, I'll be mad at myself if I make a flub or I say something that I'm like, I wanted to elaborate more on that. I didn't think and then I changed my mind maybe the next week or something, and then it's like too late. I never really go back and change it. Like, my thing, I used to put AJ Styles down all the time, and now I'm embarrassed by it because he is one of the best of all time. I used to make like he was no big deal. Yeah. And I always feel embarrassed by those podcasts that I was like making like he was the C player. And I was so wrong. You know what I mean? I couldn't have been more wrong. I wonder why I got such heat for that, Deservedly so. I was way off my mark saying that AJ Styles was a hack. That's just me being a hater.
Yeah, and going back, it's humbling when people that you looked up to in podcasting or just in anything, will say, oh, by the way, listen to the Drew Yari show. Like, when the first time I heard Mish, put over in the show, I can remember it like it was yesterday. I was literally in the living room sitting next to my girlfriend, and I just listened to Soup like I usually do, and he said, by the way, shout out to Drew Yari, and I was over the moon. Like, I was freaking out. Like, I'm just like, what the? Like, I just turn over to my girl, and I'm like, he's talking about the show. Like, I was just, I was like a kid in the candy store. Like, I was like a kid on Christmas. Like, it was one of those things where I was overwhelmed, and the same thing with you when you started bringing up the show, when, ET started talking about the show. It's just, it's humbling because I just recall being in my bedroom, just listening to you guys on TV tracks. And
yeah, that makes me feel really good. I mean, again, even Jeff starting out his show, Jeff Littman and Sheen, and he was like, you want to come on the show? And I was like, yeah. Like, I don't know if he was like shocked. And he actually, like I said, I when he said this, I'm like, I read it. I'm like, did he just say that? And then we spoke on the phone, and he goes, you're like it's like having Bono on the show. I said, me? And it was just so funny the way he said it, but he didn't say that to be sarcastic. He meant it. He goes, dude, you're like one of the original wrestling podcasters, like one of you, Jason Solomons, Anthony, like you're one of the OGs, I know it. He goes, a lot of people in the community know it. You can downplay it, but you are. And again, sometimes I even forget. I'm like, yeah, how long I'm doing this for? But yeah, all together with podcasting, audio shows, Minority Report, Minority Roundtable, Don Tony Kevin Castle, 17 years. So not bad, not a bad run. And again, no one did this for money because we didn't start making any money till 3 years ago with Patreon, and it's a limited amount of money. It's not a lot, a few $100. It's not anything you can pay a couple of bills. It's not rent money. It's not living money. So again, clearly there's a love of doing this. So that's why it's so funny when you see like little haters are trying to do divide and conquer, and I'm Team DT, or I'm fuck Kevin Castle, or fuck John Draper, or fuck, they don't even know what they're talking about because they're like, the funny thing is someone was talking about me being fired from my own. How do you fire me from my own podcast? You know what I mean? It's my show. It's not Tony Kevin Castle. Someone's going to come in and play Kevin Castle. So it's like, it's stupid. There's a lot of stupid wrestling fans. I don't like stupid fans. I'm glad my fan base is not stupid. I can't speak for other people's fan bases, but my fan base is not stupid. I have the best fucking fans, the smartest fucking fans, the coolest fucking fans. None of them are fucking shitheads. You know what I'm saying? None of them have Easy Bake Oven as their fucking tag name. And I'm almost positive 7 out of 10 of them have seen a vagina. I'm almost positive of it. I can't be factually sure, Drew, but I'm pretty sure. Is
that your requirements? You must have seen at least one vagina.
No, but you see, not for nothing. I'm kidding. No. But you see other people's fans, and they're trying to talk shit to you, and you know that they're not tough, and you know that like there is this douchey, fucking douchebag who never in his life had a fight, never in his life got the girl, never is seeing this big tattooed up guy all tattooed up. My brother and me always laugh about the visual of someone coming up to us and they're talking shit. Like, we'd be like, are you for fucking real? Like, get out of here before you get hurt. I mean, seriously, go be a fan of this guy over here because, go with the uncool section. You're out of your league, kid. If you want to hit me because I said something bad about Chris Jericho, you're going to die for a very stupid cause. You know what I'm saying? you're going to get hurt over a very stupid cause. So it's so funny when, you get haters and like making like they know you, like you don't know anything about me other than what we tell you, on the show. And I could be lying to you half the time. You'll never even know, and the person that you're propping, little do you know that person could give a shit if you lived or died, just keep, being a sub and being a Patreon. You're just money to certain people. For me, speaking for myself, I love a person I can't even tell you how many people, Drew, wrote to me just the nicest shit about Amy and just caring and saying, I feel like I know your cat. Like you talk about her on the show all these years. I feel like I know, like I feel like it's my cat. I feel like I have an obligation to look out for her like she's mine. And that doesn't creep me out and go, oh, that's kind of creepy. It's nice. I mean, believe me, I can tell the difference between a nice email and an intrusive, creepy, kind of overstepping email. I've gotten many of both. But this, and again, I was hesitant to put Amy's picture up there and show her in not such a good state because I don't want to put that, again, all due respect, DT's Mr. Reveal everything. Here's me getting hair transplant. That's up to him. I don't think there's necessity for that. Trez doesn't do that. I don't do that. Joey Numbers doesn't do that. I don't see Mish do that very often. I wouldn't even know if Mish was dating anybody. He doesn't post it on Facebook or anything. People are private. People are private. If you want to talk about your stuff, just like you, I don't see you go, had a fight with a girlfriend today. That's maybe not you. So again, I let people, if people want to post a picture every 5 seconds taking a shit, that's up to you. I'm not like that. So I was very hesitant to put, picture of Amy not looking good and saying she wasn't feeling well. Not that I thought anybody, and everyone was nice. No one left a bad comment. I didn't have to block anybody. But again, it's so intrusive and it's so sensitive to me that I don't want to make myself vulnerable like that online to would-be haters or people who are going to wish ill feelings on me or my pet. You know what I mean? Who hate DTKC or hate KC. Because there's a lot of creeps out there. There's a lot of creeps out there.
Yeah, like, when it comes to my girl, I never really post anything about her on Twitter. Like, you have me on my personal Facebook and, I have an Instagram. Right. I'll only post stuff about her on there, and also personal stuff I'll put, if me and her have a fight, we'll never talk about it. But, if it's just like, me and her at the movies, me and her at the beach, you're going to see that on my own Facebook and my Instagram. Twitter, right. It's kind of like, and I'm not trying to compare, but it's just like, it's kind of like, the conversation you had with Cross where, he had that whole thing with Nia Jax, which, it wasn't really a thing. It was more just right. Nia Jax being a bitch. And, Cross, you know him a lot better than me. I'm pretty sure, Cross was like, I can probably tear this bitch limb from limb, as far as like psychologically and, by talking, verbally. But I gotta think, my girl, she's eventually going to be in the main roster and she's going to have to be around these women. And this girl, exactly. she could have a negative influence on a lot of the other girls, and they could, take it on her. So I'm just gonna chill. I'm not even gonna talk. So that's the way I see it with my girl, because she does have a Twitter, and I know how wrestling fans are, unfortunately. So I could say, something about Chris Jericho, which I actually did. If you saw what I posted on my Twitter,
I agree with you.
Yeah, exactly. Like somebody could take that out of context and they'll see my girl's Twitter and they'll try and go after her. And luckily my girl her Twitter's on private, so if you even try to send her a message or try to send her a request, actually you have to send her a request before you can send her a message. But I try to keep my personal life away from Twitter. And anything that's, show related, wrestling related, I'll even post kitties on Twitter. That's like the closest thing to my personal life I'll post on Twitter.
Right.
Everything else goes on my Facebook or my Instagram.
Well, even on Patreon, we had on Patreon, which is always weird because you're going to give money to a show and then hate on the host. It doesn't even make sense. And again, there's different rules for different people on the show for some reason. There's no one set of rules for anybody. Depends on which way the wind blows. And I'm not being a dick saying that. It's just a fact. I had this one hater who's still like this hater of mine. and he joined Patreon to ask like stupid questions, and now it was privatized. But then and I'll give Anthony credit for this, when he goes, you know what? From now on, we're going to post all the questions publicly, so the troll can't hide an anonymity, and people can see this guy's trying to be a fucking troublemaker. So everyone's a witness to it. So once you did the public questions, the guy disappeared because he's like, oh, I liked it when I can hide and take digs at Kevin person to person and not have anybody else to see it. So this way I can then lie and say that he was, he wasn't answering my questions, whatever. People will be like, I wouldn't answer that question either. How dare you talk that way to one of the hosts? You know what I'm saying? It's like, who the fuck you think you are, dude? For $5, you think you have a right to fucking, shit talk one of the hosts? Take your $5 and stick it up your dick hole. You know what I mean? So it's like, again, so people would say, like guys like Tommy Pekeski and Chatside and people like that would be like, fucking nerd, like, no wonder why you got so pissed off, Kev. Like, who the fuck? No one's got a right to, you don't have to answer shit like that for $5 a month. I mean, what are we sucking dick now for $5 a month? So it's like, again, pride cometh before a fall, if you ever heard that expression. And, again, my brother John would even say, I wouldn't answer any of those fucking questions. Are you fucking kidding me? So just be like, and I thought it was interesting that I was expected to answer to some hater's question. I'm like, nah, dude. Oh, have fun with it, thicker skin or whatever. I'm like, no, dude. When you say to me that you thought it was funny when my cat died, the fucking the gloves are off. You understand what I'm saying? There's no haha when you take a personal thing that was soul crushing to me and think it's funny to throw that in my face. Matter of fact, the guy even said to me one time, I'm going to make you cry more than you did on the episode that your father died. I was like, let me tell you something. Not only are you off of Patreon, but if I ever find out who you were, I'm going to literally murder you. I'm going to murder you in front of your parents. So it's like, again, people, what kind of sick person does stuff like that, What kind of sick person does that, Sick. Sick.
Just people thinking that, since they're behind a computer, no one's going to find them. It's like, well, motherfucker, this is the internet. We can possibly find you. Matter of fact, we can track where your IP address is.
Well, again, just kind of demented, I mean, really demented.
It's just people that just have nothing better to do.
No, I had nothing better to do. And again, I don't even know what to even, again, and it's so weird to me that I would have to go to people behind the scenes of our show and explain how are you guys on board with me that this shit should not be tolerated, and then be like felt like I have no right to complain, or I'm being the difficult one because I won't it's a Patreon. I'm like, get the fuck out of here, dude. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Again, what are we going to be doing? Sucking dick in jail on our first night in to make sure that nobody beats us up? I mean, who am I dealing with here? I know how me and my brother are. I can't account for how other people are. And then, the same people who tell me to have thicker skin don't have thicker skin themselves. You know what I'm talking about. He has zero thicker skin. Matter of fact, I know a guy named Ben who got blocked for saying give them more time and then got banned. Is that having thicker skin? Mm. Poor Ben.
Ugh. That's pretty rough.
And I would have never, again, Patreon is for fans. Patreon is not for haters, and we don't succumb to targeted harassment because you give us $5. What kind of man would you be to sell yourself for that? Are we that desperate? I'm not. Anybody else? Listen, I've never had less money in my life. I've never been more up against the wall financially ever than this year. Even right now, I don't know where the next paycheck or how I'm going to pay the rest of this stuff. Don't know. Haven't figured it out yet. But I'll be fucking damned. I'll join my father in the fucking grave if I'm going to grovel and let somebody humiliate me on my show in front of my fans for a $5, $10 donation a month. I might as well shoot myself in the fucking head. You know what? I'll take the Patreon money, buy a revolver, and kill myself on the air. Seriously. My father would be rolling over in his grave, go, let me tell you something, son. Don't ever fucking sell yourself for $10. And don't listen to any idiot who would tell you that you have to do that. This fucking moron would say that. Horrified. That's what my brother gets so vocal about what he says. My brother is passionate about being a man and backing your friends. And you see how my brother is. When you go after someone he loves and cares about, family, friend, my brother is on you like a badger on a cupcake, you know? And he's not trying to be a tough guy. He does not get how, you know, right is right and wrong is wrong in my brother's eyes. You know what I'm saying? You know my brother, John. You might not know him that well, but when he feels someone is being, it doesn't have to be me. It could be anybody. Somebody is being, you know, targeted and someone is being unjustifiably humiliated. No, not on his watch. And I don't know how anybody can't see that. That's almost like sick. You know what I'm saying? You tell me, Drew, you tell me, like, you're my friend. And then you tell me, Kev, I notice this guy's following you. Do you know that guy who's following you? I got a story about him. And I'll be like, nah, I don't really know him. He follows me. Yeah, show me a screenshot. This is what he said to me. Like, he said something hurtful about your girlfriend, your mother. I'm like, oh, fuck that, dude. I'll delete him. No problem. That's what you do for your friends. You don't go, you should have thicker skin and let him insult you. And if you don't let him insult you, you're not a man. Like, what? Who raised you? You know what I'm saying? What the fuck is that? You know, that's like, you come to me for advice. You think I'm going to tell you to suck the dick? I'm going to be like, tell him, kick him in the dick. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, again, I can't stress this enough. The theme of tonight is back your team. That's the theme of tonight. Back your friends, back your team.
Exactly. Like, I would always have your back. Like, I got blocked by Bully Ray because I backed up John. And, you know, John.
Yeah, of course. Absolutely.
John, you know, John's a good friend of mine. You know, he's always said good things about me. He's always considered me a friend. And, you know, there's a whole thing with Bully Ray where, you know, him and Velvet Sky were, you know, posting flattering pictures about John, you know, and making fun of, you know, his teeth. I didn't know until that conversation that John had a disease, you know, with his teeth. I honestly didn't know that until he. Even if
he didn't, it's a heinous thing to say.
No. I know. I'm just saying. Like, I honestly didn't.
No. I know what you're saying, but because and to elaborate more on that, if you saw some of the comments, people were assuming my brother did drugs, and that's why he had a bad thing. Did you see some of those comments? Yeah. Well, clearly that guy did drugs. Well, that's what years of drug abuse do to you by the time you turn that age. And I was like, my brother never did drugs in his life. That's a fucking genetic, inherent condition. It's not, but I can see where ignorant people, because they wanted to believe that my brother was some ex-drug addict, and that was the go-to insult. You know, like when people insult me about my age and about I'm old and he's old, you know, that's the go-to insult. Then they don't stop and think about, well, Chris Jericho's my favorite wrestler, and Kevin's a year and a half older than him. So I guess he's an old fuck too. So again, people just want to get the insult in on you. And I saw that, and believe me, that was hurtful to me, because I know my brother's never done drugs. But there was enough people saying it that I wonder if people even thought, oh, maybe Draper did a lot of drugs when he was younger. And he didn't know it. But even when him explaining it again, guess what? Half the people still won't believe it. And I thought that was a shit thing to do. And guess what? All the people who you thought would back my brother did. And guess what? The people that you didn't see back my brother, you shouldn't be surprised either.
Yeah, exactly. And just, and you know, and ironically, you know, that whole argument started because John was defending, you know, Bish O'Brien, because Bish O'Brien was saying something to Bully Ray. I'm not sure I'm not sure how it started. I just know I kind of came in late, and I just saw these pictures that, you know, Bully was posting, or I don't even know why I'm calling him Bully, Bubba Ray, you know, and Velvet Sky, and I just shit talked both of them. I'm like, are you fucking serious? Like, why are you resorting to this high school bullshit? And you know, lo and behold, I get blocked. So and I kind of wear that with a badge of honor, because it's like, I defended my friend. You know, I'm always going to defend my friends regardless. I don't care if it's, you know, fucking Stone Cold talking shit to you. I'm going to go in and be like, listen, motherfucker, watch how you talk to my friend. I don't care who the fuck you are. And if I get blocked by Stone Cold Steve Austin, it's like, you know, I'm going to defend my friend no matter what. I'm going to defend my brothers no matter what.
Well, listen, I said it a long time ago. I felt, you know, I'll be honest, and I'm not just talking about Anthony. I'm talking about some other people, too, that I was surprised. There's been times that I felt that people didn't take my back on certain things at all, and I purposely didn't defend them. on things, and I kind of waited. And it was funny. I once got called out for something of not defending somebody, and I'm like, excuse me, the guy who's on his own, you guys have turned me into Roman Reigns of the show, one versus all, on a regular basis. I mean, I say one thing that people don't like, I feel like I'm ostracized, but it doesn't hurt me with the fans. I still, my fan base is strong as ever. But I always think sometimes, again, podcasting are very babyish about a lot of stuff. Unfortunately, even some people I love in podcasting are kind of babies about stuff. You say one thing, or you don't agree with a graphic, or you don't like a certain thing, or I prefer another design. They disappear for a week and they don't talk to you. It's like, what are we in high school? Drew, do you know how many times I've made flyers, and John the doorman and people at the club made flyers, sick of it all. They're friends of us. My guy made a flyer for their show, and we sent it to Lou the singer, and Lou didn't like it. He didn't like the picture we were using. So we sent it back to him again. He's like, yeah, I don't like that. Can you do something like this? Second time. Third time, his bass player didn't like the picture. Now, we didn't say, no, that's it. We're not using anything else. I'm going to take 2 weeks off and not talk to you anymore. I mean, this is, again, you can't act like that in the real world. You go, let's resolve this, make it happy. I don't all of a sudden hate sick of it all because they didn't want to adhere to what I wanted to force upon them for the flyer. They made a choice. They're the star of the show, and they want to that's sick of it all. No, that's business. So if you have something, you have a show, the Drew Yari show, and someone says, here, Drew, here's a design for your show, and you don't like it, that's your name. That's Drew Yari. That's your face. If you don't like it, you have every right to say you don't like it. And you shouldn't be lambasted because you don't like it. In my business, people reject graphics and flyers all the time. Even when we send it to their manager in advance, they then change their mind about it. We can't be baby and boo-boo face. Oh, we're not going to do the concert now. Who acts like that? So I'm not in podcasting. It's so weird that if you don't like a shirt design or something, you get this blowback, that you gave the Nazi symbol or the Sieg Heil symbol. All you did was disagree. All I did was disagree. So that's why I'm just like, you know what, fuck it. I'm going to make my own merch, do my own thing, get my own guy. I'm not doing teaming up with anybody anymore because it's a very big baby contingency in podcasting. You don't go, I'm not you. And the last thing I want is more white people telling me what to do, The next boss I want is an African American woman. I have no interest in any middle-aged white guy ever telling me what to do ever again. Never. Matter of fact, if I even go for a club job or a podcast job and the guy's middle-aged and white, I want nothing to do with him. Matter of fact, I will not take the job. Absolutely not. But if it's a lady named Elaine and she's 52 and black, I'm like, I'm your man. I get treated way better by people of different races and ethnicity than I do by my own people. Please. You see an Italian, you better run for the hills. No thanks. Outside of a spaghetti dinner, I got no use for him.
That's an interesting way to put it. So no more white people is what you're saying.
I want nothing to do in the next podcasting gig I have, the next club job I have. If it is a middle-aged white male, nope. I don't mind if it's a millennial, not middle-aged. Anybody over between 40 and 55, no thanks. Especially if they're Italian, no thanks. That's not a shot at DT, it's a shot at Italians in general. Because even my last landlord stabbed me in the back. Every Italian I know stabbed me in the fucking back. Every one of them. Because they're all out for themselves. If you don't have the same last name as them, they don't consider you family. It's a big fucking front. They're paranoid that, their family, their people, their kids. Again, I'm about my family, friends, and everybody. And Lord, my best friend Rob is a Hasidic Jew. So, I don't have to be, again, I'm not in this whole Goomba thing. Most of my best friends are not the same ethnicity of me. That's why I would never get accused of being a racist. Furthest thing from me, especially my father being in the Army, he had most of his friends were black and Hispanic. Most of my father's friends were Hispanic. Like you, Drew, they were Hispanic.
Yes.
Yeah, I just don't get along with white male, middle-aged authoritarian figures. Just like my boss at the club, Nick. He's another one who can go fuck himself. Another middle-aged Italian insecure guy. I can't deal with that anymore. I'm too old. But if anybody female, I will work for a woman any day of the week. If Trez becomes the new executive producer of whatever I do in the future, and she becomes a big shot in entertainment and podcast, and she's my boss, I will gladly accept it. Not just because she's my friend, because I'm totally down to work for a woman. We need more women in podcasting, by the way. By the way, do you think it's an unfair balance, by the way, in podcasting? I certainly do.
Oh, yeah, exactly, because like you don't see too many women. And, and I'm not just saying this because she's our friend. Trez is, I think she's possibly the best kept secret in podcasting because she's someone that I think could hold her own. Like if she were to have her own solo show, I think she would hold her own, And there's a lot of women I know personally that have really good podcasting shows.
The only problem with Trez is, and I told her the same thing, she has to keep up watching wrestling. You cannot, I will agree with Anthony on that. You cannot go on a show, on a platform show, and say, I didn't see it. Can't do that. If you're going to go, first of all, the trolls will eat you alive. You know that, true. Yeah. How are you going to comment on something you didn't see? Because they're going to take that you're being disingenuous and you don't like the product. Everybody's busy. You can't say you're busy. Again, as much as I can criticize Anthony, I can give him credit. Anthony, despite as busy as he is, will make sure he watches everything. And I don't even know how he does it. He multitasks and watches it. Again, my brother John posted it about a week ago. If you saw my brother John's post on Twitter, I don't know who he was referring to. Could be a cavalcade of people. But he said, just because I have a beef with somebody or I had past beef or present beef with somebody doesn't mean when I see them tweet something of intelligence, I won't agree with it or I won't share it. Just because me and you don't care for each other doesn't mean you can't make a good point and I can't prop you for it. I feel the same way. There's other people who won't give you credit for shit because they're mad at you. So, you can discover the cure for cancer and they still won't put you over. You know what I mean? But to me, I agree with my brother. If someone posts something good, if someone has a good idea, whether it's Anthony or Conrad or anybody, and I don't really have a problem with anybody. I don't know if people have a problem with me. I don't really have a problem with anybody. I'll prop you for it. Absolutely. I'll share it. I'll quote you. I'll put you over. Even tonight, as much as I can take little digs, and Lord knows they've done to me, it's mostly in fun, and it's not anything mean-spirited. Because again, in reality, I have love for Anthony de Blasio as a person. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I don't hate. Again, he may hate my guts according to that troll, but I don't hate his guts, and I don't hate anybody. And I wrote on Twitter a long time ago, and recently, I think saying you hate somebody is very, very severe, especially if they never really did anything to you. How do you hate somebody because they said something you don't like? Did they rape your girlfriend? Did they set your house on fire? Did they steal your credit cards and go to Tahiti with them? What did they do to you? Oh, he just said some things. Were they directed towards you? No. How do you hate him? You hate her? Don't you think it's kind of strong to say you hate somebody that you don't know? I think it's very strong, very strong. Say that. If someone say, I hate Trez, I'm like, do you know her? No, I don't know her. I just listened to the show. So you don't care for her as a podcaster? Well, yeah. So what'd you say you hate? I've called people out on stuff like that. I'm like, hate? Well, I don't like her or the show. Okay, well, then she's not your cup of tea. When I hear someone say they hate somebody, I always call them out on that. I'm like, what'd they do to you? Nothing. Then why do you hate them? Oh, again, I find that just, I kind of keep an eye on people who say stuff like that. I don't like that. And I think I'm suspicious of a person who talks like that because I don't think, you got to learn the difference between not liking somebody's shit and saying you hate somebody. I hate racists. I don't hate somebody who doesn't agree with me on Al Perez. Do you know what I mean? I don't hate you for that. You just don't like Al Perez. Okay. I don't hate you. I don't know you. But, again, getting back to Trez can be a much better podcaster if she studies. And I've told her this. If you don't ever go on the air and say you don't watch something, you will get crucified. She can say it on Patreon because Patreon people love her. But if she said that on a mainstream show, you know how many comments you'd have to delete from that YouTube page?
Yeah, and also I don't necessarily think she would need to do a wrestling show, because going back to women in podcasting, one of my closest friends, her name is Relly. She has a podcast on Spotify where she talks about serial killers, with like random guests. So I mean, I don't know how Trez feels about serial killers, but for podcasting, anyone can be passionate about anything. As long as you're passionate about it, people are going to realize it and they're going to flock to you. So, and you're also right about, you know, you have to watch it and can't just say, well, I heard about it. Because I'll be honest, I've made that mistake where I'll be on here and it'll be like, we're going to talk about Raw. And I'm not even kidding. I literally did this where I'm just like, well, I didn't watch Raw, but I watched bits and pieces. And I owned up to it. And I realized, yeah, I'm going to have to watch every show that I can. And, you know, when I got my job and I was off on Wednesdays and Thursdays, I was like, all right, so I'm able to watch NXT and AEW. I can maybe watch Raw on the DVR. So, but you know, I mentioned earlier, I'm like 137 episodes in as a podcaster.
That's great,
and I'm still learning. I still make mistakes. I still say dumb shit. But I'm still learning. I'm still thinking of ways, you know, how to make the show more interesting, how to spice up the show and not just like do the same mundane stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, look, tonight I said a lot of stupid things, but, you know, it is what it is. But I blame it on no sleep, you know, but I'm just kidding. But I say stupid things all the time. But I think the thing is with, you know, anything with podcasting, I think with Trez, getting back to her, I you know, I was thinking about if KNT Chronicles went into the mainstream, like what kind of would we change the show? Would we be if we went off Patreon and went on out into the mainstream in the future? I mean, not now. If we chose to do that, what kind of show will we do? You know, will we have the same? Will we try and do more current events and stuff like that? I've always kind of thought about that, but I always bring it back to wrestling because I think I don't think honestly. I think Trez has to do wrestling. I think that's would be her niche. Is that you have this female, attractive female, someone. We don't have enough females doing the wrestling thing. What is she going to go on and talk about? You know, arts and entertainment. That's been done to death. There's a market for women to do wrestling podcasts. There's not, you can't even name them on your 5 fingers of any of them. There's that girl, what is it, Jessie Davlin or Davlin, whatever her name is.
Davin, yeah.
Yeah, I don't watch her. I can't deal with her. But I know everyone kind of kisses up to her. I'm not a fan. But for just certain reasons, something off there with her. I get a red flag with her for something. But Trez would be, I think, a breath of fresh air with that. And I think that would be the niche, is to talk wrestling. Oh, she knows wrestling, old school, and she's been a fan since she's 7 years old, and we used to watch with her father. Telling those stories and then get the fans on her side and say, oh, this girl's old school, and then be up to date. She doesn't have to be an expert on, you know, Karrion Kross had a 5-star match against Bronson Reed. She doesn't have to be like that, but has to know. But I think, again, on Patreon, we're all comfortable to say that. I say things. We all say things. A loose show. You know, say what you want. You know, have big fun, laugh, goof on each other. But I think we go in the mainstream. I can't say to her, Trez, so big takeover show last night, huh? Didn't see it. You didn't see it? No. You're gonna watch it this week? I don't know. Probably. Maybe not. You can't do that. You can't do that. You will get crucified online because right off the bat, you have a bunch of people. She doesn't even watch wrestling. You know, it's like, forget it. She doesn't care. So, again, as soon as you get that, and again, it gets brutal, especially on YouTube. So what I would tell Trez is if you're going to do it, start watching it. And start watching it and watch the replay whenever you get a chance. I know you're busy. But, again, if you're going to do this, really sink your teeth into it. And she would agree with me. She knows what I'm talking about. Because, again, she is very anti-trolling and anti-harassment on Twitter and YouTube, and she sticks up for a lot of people. So Lord knows she wouldn't want to be the target of that. She sticks up for people who go through that. So she knows the deal. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You can always just block people, but you don't want to get a whole thing where you're blocking like 100 people a show. You know what I mean?
I get you.
You can't feed the trolls, man. You can't feed the trolls. You know, look at me. Like I said, one distraction. 2 hours of a great fucking show and a great Chris Jericho debate, and a couple of fucking haters wanted to focus fully on 90 seconds of that 2-hour show of me being distracted, quote unquote, not even knowing what I was distracted by. And not for nothing, they don't care anyway because they just wanted to start trouble. You understand what I'm saying?
No, I get you. It's just, and to close it out, we're already at the 2 hour and 35-minute mark to close it
Oh,
out.
I thought we were doing 5 hours tonight. I thought we were doing the 5 hour one.
I mean, we could if you want to.
I'm just.
But to close it out, yeah, the trolls. You said the theme of tonight was back up your team. Another theme could be just the trolls don't deserve to eat. Don't give the trolls scraps. Don't bother feeding them. Don't feed them after midnight. Just leave them the fuck alone. Even if you want to. Go. I forgot what you told me, but the first thing that popped in my head was just because you can do something doesn't mean you should.
Of course. I mean, again, I never woke up one day in my life and thought I'm going to go on Twitter and hurt somebody's feelings or make somebody feel bad. I'm not about that. I don't relate to that. I don't get it. And that's okay if someone behind my back will say, oh, Kev. And I'm like, no, dude, you're the dick. You're not the cool one here. I'm the cool one. You never knew cool in your whole life. That's why you can't distinguish between right and wrong, because you don't know, because no one ever told you. But I'm telling you right now, it's not cool to insult people. It's not cool to just let somebody debase you. Nick Aldis said it the best. How would I look in front of my son to let somebody insult me like that? Like Bruce Pritchard saying I'm a non-factor and I was never anything. I didn't have the it factor. And Nick took that Nick, have thicker skin. You should. Oh, so sensitive, are we? He's a man. He's sticking up for himself as a man. How do you not get that as a man? And not for nothing, everyone who says that is, the people who always talk that thicker skin shit, I see them block people and have zero sensitive, thicker skin at all. They have thinner skin than anyone. It was my brother John said, the hypocrisy game in podcasting is deep. Hypocrisy in wrestling community is fucking mad deep. Meaning that everyone who says you shouldn't or do this way, that way, doesn't practice what they preach. And that's everybody in this fucking game, including people we like and admire on other shows. I've stepped in it myself where I'm like, here I am telling people this or that, and I'm just doing this. I'm guilty of the same thing. So, if you're going to give advice, at least follow your own advice. You know what I mean? But Nick Aldis said, no, I'm not going to let somebody debase me online and I have to walk away. I'm going to fire back. And what did he do? He insulted WWE's ratings and went after Bruce. If you're so smart, how come WWE's ratings are the worst they've ever been? And that'll hurt. Again, he got hurt, so he went to hurt somebody else. But I'm not a guy who ever starts anything with anything. If I thought if I listened to your show and hey, Drew, listen to the show last night. Not for nothing. Not a good show at all, bro. Bad show. What would compel somebody to write something like that? But yet people do, right? Yet they do. Yeah. Fire Kev Castle from the show. He was the shot. First of all, you're going to fire. How you fire me from my own show? And second of all, why you've never been distracted by something in your life? That doesn't even make sense. All these perfect people on Twitter, Drew, yet they can't even come up with a picture ID and tell you the real town that they live in. But they're perfect. All these saints on Twitter, all these perfect human beings, yet their picture is Scooby-Doo. Go figure.
And again, that's the second theme of tonight is don't feed the trolls. No matter how much they beg and plead and cry, don't feed them.
You know what? I think the theme of the show should be Trez. We'll put Trez in the liner notes so people will actually listen to it. We'll say we hear us praise and slam Trez at the same time. No, I'm not going to say that.
we could do that.
Drew puts Trez over. Kez throws her under. No, don't write that because then she'll bitch about it and bother me for the next 2 weeks.
I talk about how I think Bronson Reed is inspirational. Kev says, "Nah." Just post. Just post. What are we doing? 3 hours now? 2.5 hours? 2:39.
2:30. 240 minutes of 2 hours and 40 minutes. Oh no, what is it? 1 hour and 40 minutes of babble with Kevin Castle. That's what you should put.
We could do that. Or fuck DT, but he's all right.
No, don't put that in the fucking line. It's the last thing I need.
I'm kidding.
Don't even mention him. By the way,
He's not
going to. By the way, dude, no offense, he's not going to listen to the show.
Yeah, I figured. Yeah,
he doesn't. He doesn't listen to any of the shows.
I'll bleep his name out. Anyways, plug your stuff, man.
Kevin Castle, Capricorn, born in 19... Oh, you mean my shows?
Yes. Or whatever the fuck you want, man.
Kevin Castle, soon to be formerly of the Don Tony Kevin Castle show, because I'm getting fired. Fired. It's the funniest fucking thing. I wish they fired me when I was volunteering for 13 years. No, but that's just a troll, by the way. No one said I'm getting fired. And if I do, who cares? Like I won't get another job. Kevin Castle, Don Tony Kevin Castle. When are we on, Drews? I'm usually on Mondays at right after Raw, but I'm not going to probably be on the next couple weeks. I don't know if that's official. I filed the paperwork today, but most likely I won't be on. But listen, forget that. Kevin Castle, Patreon, Castle Chronicles, KNT Chronicles with Trez. I'm going to be on. I'm basically, you can find me anywhere. Basically, the best place to look for me is on Twitter. At KevZ Castle. You'll see of all my. I'm so tired, by the way. Sorry, I'm starting to lose my train of thought. I haven't slept in days. You'll see my comings and goings on Twitter on KevZ Castle. Shows I'm going to be on. I'm going to be guesting on Lucky 13 podcast, Jeff Lippman podcast. I'll be going on. Probably be doing some stuff with some other people. I'll be guesting here and there on a bunch of shows, but you can find me Monday nights on anywhere from. Usually on what's the name of that? We're on. Help me out, Drew. Where's Don Tony Kevin Castle? Where can you listen to us on? On Pandora. You can also listen live on Mixler and Discord. Mixler and Discord. Well, no more Discord. I think DT's taking that away. You didn't see the announcement?
I did not. Was there an announcement?
Yeah. He said for the 12. I guess he was insulting you guys or me. I'm not sure who he was insulting. But he said for the 12 people who listen on Discord, it will no longer. But I'm not sure if that stands because I think when I host the show in 2 weeks, we're back on. I'm on Discord. I don't really know. I'll be honest with you. You might have to edit this whole fucking show, by the way, Drew. I'm all over the road here. I'm not sure what the status of that is. Just look your local listings. If I'm not on, don't listen and wait till I'm on to listen. Yeah. He's got a bunch of other solo shows. I don't have any solo shows yet. So I have Castle Chronicles, but that's on Patreon.
Yeah. Also, just head over to DTKC Patreon just for $5. You get shows.
Anybody listening to this?
Those at KNT.
Yeah, anybody listening to this knows who I am. It's like, who is this idiot? Everybody knows the idiot that's on right now. Everybody knows who I am. So it's like, they'll know where to find me. But if you don't hear me on DTKC the next couple of weeks, I took off. Don't believe the hype that I got fired. I took off. I needed a break. And then when I come back, I'll be hosting the show solo for a couple of weeks. So I'll be doing it with my brother or something like that. So it'll be fun. So I think, and also it's the anniversary of my father's death this coming weekend. So I wanted to kind of just decompress and stuff. But it's actually perfect timing. So in a way, I'm kind of, I'll probably be glad that I take off the next 2 weeks. I never miss a big pay-per-view recap, though. This will be the first time I don't do a SummerSlam recap in years. I mean, going back to the mid-2000s, bro. Isn't that something?
Yeah. I'll just ask. Like, if you're not able to do it, then that's good. But I'm gonna have this Saturday off for Takeover, so I don't know if you want to stick around and do like a Takeover recap.
Is Takeover this Saturday?
Not this Saturday, but next Saturday.
Oh, the next Saturday. Yeah, I mean, I might be able to do that. I'll talk to my manager and I'll see if she'll let me do it. Trez is my manager now. It's funny because you're her manager.
I'm her manager?
That's what I heard.
Oh, yeah. I said that.
She wrote me yesterday and said, why did you have Drew Yari investigate where I've been when you could have hit me up or hit Danny? And I'm like, because I haven't heard from you, and I thought he might have heard from you. You were MIA. And she was so like stern with me. It was kind of funny. It wasn't like she was mad that you hit her up. She was mad that I sent you to look for, like, why did you ask? I'm like, because I figured maybe one of our friend base heard from you and I didn't. Why would anybody else hear from me and you wouldn't hear from me? I'm like, I don't know. I've been kind of out of it lately. and then I blamed you, and it was all good. I'm just kidding.
I'm fine. Hey, if you want to blame me, I'm fine with it. I have no.
I didn't blame you. I'll just take cryptic digs at you on the next Castle Chronicles.
Just go on Twitter and be like, I thought he was my friend. I guess I was wrong.
It's again. I try, and when I'm not on a show, I kind of I don't listen to the shows that I'm not on. I don't really listen to the replay. No other reason that I don't like listening to myself on the radio. I just don't. I don't listen to the playback.
Yeah.
So when someone will say, "Did you hear such and such?" I'm like, "No." It's like, "Oh, did you know you said this and that?" I'm like, "I don't even remember." That's like the one time Kevin Matthews accused me of like slamming him on a show, and I don't even remember doing it. I don't remember. For a guy who doesn't take drugs, I have like almost a drug problem. I don't. I have like memory loss. I don't know. Like I can't remember half the things I say on the show sometimes. But the one thing I know, people would be lying if they said I said a racist comment, because I would never say a racist comment. But I do remember calling Lana a piece of ass, so that I couldn't deny when she approached me about that. So it's kind of cool though. I'll say this about DTKC: we're so known that when we say shit, the subjects approach us about it. Like they heard, wrestlers, like wrestling stars, like they'll write to us and talk about a segment that we mentioned them on the show, and they'll either correct us or they'll say, "Oh, thanks for mentioning me on the show." So it's nice to be thought of as like a factor in podcasts. That's the one thing I love about being in the mainstream. I love Patreon, but you have to remember it's such a limited audience. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I mean, tops 400 people listening to you. In the mainstream, it could be 40,000. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So one day, Drew, you get to the big leagues. Maybe you'll be on new team Kev Castle. I might call you. Might be one of the new X-Men. We'll have to come up with a gimmick for you. But wouldn't that be something? I formed the X-Men of podcasting starting in 2021.
Well, I already got the chest hair to be Wolverine, so I got that.
I was thinking of Wolverine for you. What was the one? What was the one? Jean Trestleby. What's her name?
Jean Grey.
Yeah, Jean Grey. First of all, I don't like the name Jean. No one's calling me Jean. That'd be Tres. First of all, but that's so funny. I would be. Everyone thinks I'd be Professor Xavier, but actually, I'm not. I'm going to be one of the. I'm going to be one of the heroes. I'm not going to be in the wheelchair. So I know people like automatically think I'm Professor Xavier, but I'm not. We have to. My whole thing is I have to find a Professor Xavier. I have to find someone. You ever seen Wayne's World, where they found that guy who helped them run Wayne Stock?
Yeah, the guy with the eye that didn't have any like color in it.
The English guy. Like like if you book them, they will come. I got to find someone like that because, as everybody knows, I'm not a producer. So I got to find like almost an older version of Mish. I have to find like what would be like the uncle of Mish. He's out there somewhere. Maybe somewhere right now in possibly Indiana. Awesome. We might have to go. Because Mish. I'd love to have Mish, but Mish is doing so many things. You know what I mean? So we have to find someone who's like Mish-like. Maybe I put out an advertisement looking for a Mish.
We're looking for somebody who's a Anthony Missionary type of podcast.
An Anthony Missionary Thomas type. People think it's like a personal thing, like a personal ad. No, but that's a compliment to Mish. I mean, I wish there were more Mishes out there who were on-air talents and production value behind the scenes and marketing and knowing the game and stuff like that. But believe me, Mish would be my first choice. But I have a feeling if I ever kind of went out on my own, I don't know if Mish could. Maybe he would. Like I said, I haven't broached the subject yet. We haven't talked about it, so I can't make, like you said, yes or no. But I'm saying he's so busy, and I'm sure I don't know what he's doing in the new year. But we'll come together and think about it. But he's always going to be my friend, and he's a real life friend off the air. And as you know, he's helped and mentored so many people. And obviously what he's done for my brother. My brother would have never gotten a shot in this game if it wasn't for Mish having faith in him, the way Anthony had faith in me back in 2003. Mish gave my brother a shot. So again, my brother's very loyal to him, and I'm sure my brother has aspirations to do other things too. Because my brother's not on that many shows. There was a period of time my brother hasn't been heard from in a while. I think he just either recently did a show, Because I'd like to plug something my brother's on, but I'm not even sure what his schedule has been. I don't. Maybe you know better than me. Last time Draper was on something.
He was on the Shitbox episode of Soup last weekend.
Okay, he was on the Shitbox. I know there was a period of time for like weeks he didn't do anything, right? I hadn't heard from him.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? Yeah, I mean, you know what? To close this out, the last thing I'll say is, if I do something new down the road, I always want to do DTKC. I want to make that very clear. But something outside of that, if I did something, I'd love to do a show at, in a way, and I don't know if this would work, and no one really does it, but multiple co-hosts, like every week a different co-host. I think that would be fun.
Yeah, man, just, again.
Like maybe you 1 week, Trez 1 week, Draper 1 week, maybe Jeff Lippman 1 week, maybe Shaheen 1 week, maybe have fun, have Joey Numbers come on 1 week, and have just like a round robin of different, anybody who has a podcasting experience would come on the show, and I think that would make it a lot of fun. I mean, no one, who does that? Who does like rotating guest podcast? Nobody right now, right?
No, that'd be dope. Again, if you end up doing something like that, you know how to get a hold of me. Like I'm there in a second. Yeah,
I got your number. I81U812.
It's I81U813.
Oh, okay. You changed it, son of a bitch. I didn't even know.
I had to. I'm living a double life. Anyways, I'm fine.
All right.
But yeah, man. Take care, dude. Rest up, and just let me know. Let me know how Amy's doing.
I'll let you know how Amy's doing. Yeah, if you hear really bad reception the next time you talk to me, it's because I'm currently living in the refrigerator box down the road near the river.
You live in a van down by the river?
No, not a van down by the river, a refrigerator box or a.
I'm Stephen Castle. I am twice divorced, and I live in a refrigerator down by the river.
I've never been married, so I look even more losery than I've never been married. I could be even more losery. I'll be like, I've never been married. I am 52 years old. Yeah, no. Again, I just so anybody who hears this knows, I'll do anything it takes to. As far as get Amy better. I think if you're a pet owner, you owe it to them to do whatever you got to do, because to me, not only pets are beyond family. Honestly, I feel more obligated to take care of an animal than I do for a person, because unless you're a baby or an invalid, senior citizen in a wheelchair, most humans can get themselves out of a jam or better their situation. Or they can make a phone call or get some assistance or get somebody to help them or get a favor. An animal is totally at the mercy of you helping them. You know what I mean? What can Amy do to make herself better? All she could do is sit there and hope Daddy helps me. That's all a dog. That's all they can do is they look at you like, help me. You got me. You picked me. I live with you. This is part of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So again, an animal is at your mercy of helping them. And I take that very, very seriously, and whatever I have to do will be done, and I'll do whatever it takes. I want people to be clear. It's certainly not about. It only becomes about money when you don't have it. But again, you find a way, and that's part of the deal. And you do everything you can, and you don't even because even in the end, if you can't save them, you did everything you can to try. That's what you got to do.
Yeah, man, exactly. But yeah, just take care, man. I'll
end on a depressing note.
And also to end on a lighter note, just,
on a lighter note. Yeah, let's end on a lighter note.
I'm gonna donate to your PayPal tomorrow. I'm gonna help you out going to a good cause.
Let me tell Amy. Amy Drew Jari is helping us out. She gave you the paw up.
Awesome. It's nice. Always good knowing that I got a cat's respect. Also, hey,
that was a good one.
As long as you have a cat's respect, you're in. Do you want to plug your PayPal real quick?
Yeah, I mean, if you, like I said, at this point, everything goes to Amy. So I'll give you Amy's PayPal, which is Amy the Black Cat, which is Amy happens to have the same PayPal as mine, ironically enough. And ironically, James Ryder, who's the leader of Ryder, the band that I manage, is one of the only people who can pet Amy. He was with us yesterday, actually. We took her over to the animal hospital. It's Ryder Rock Band at gmail.com. It's my business Addy. I'm not going to get separate PayPal. I'm just like, I'm not going to have multiple PayPal. So everything goes to the same thing. It's my band management, which doesn't exist right now because our bands don't play out. So it's become active for everything but my bands, unfortunately. Ryder Rock Band at gmail.com. And, donate to the cat cause if you can. And let's keep Amy going because Kevin Cass will be pretty miserable without the A-lister in the house. But we're going to get her better, and I have faith that she'll be okay.
All right. Take care, brother.
Thanks, Drew. Peace, buddy.
No problem. All right. So, yeah, donate. Please donate to Kevin. Donate to his PayPal, I think, was it ryderrockband at gmail.com. I'll post it. I'll post it in the link below. But, yeah, shout-outs, because we got 4 minutes. Shout-outs, DTKC, every Monday after Raw. Go to their Patreon just for $5. Shout out to Trez, who's on K&T Chronicles with Kev. Shout out to Wrestling Soup. I'm not sure if they're already finished up. Shout out to them. Patreon just for $5. Shout out John Draper, Joey Numbers, and Mish. Shout out to RJ and RJ the Savage. Find his podcast on Anchor. Also iTunes. I just did a show with him earlier. That was a lot of fun. 2 hours. Shorter than this, by the way. Texas Podcast Massacre, Sick and Demented with Reliage you can find on Spotify. Or just type in Reliage. That'll be the easiest way. You got B-Show. You got Brian J. He's no longer B-Show Brian. Wrestling Reanimated and Horror Reanimated you can find on Spreaker. Garden of Doom with Shaheen and Jeff Littman you can find on Spreaker. Shaheen, he's going to be designing a new artwork for the show. So if you need if you're a podcaster or a YouTuber or you need some artwork done quick for anything, get a hold of Shaheen on Nuclear Heat Graphics. Who else am I forgetting? Tyler the Trademark, look out for him. Peter Stavros, go to Pops and Bangers, you can find him. And I'm forgetting somebody else. Ruben Prime TV, find his podcast on Spotify. Show some love to everybody. Show some love to everybody's podcast. Support everybody. I'll be back next week. RJ will actually be on the show next week, and we're gonna do a predictions for NXT TakeOver. And I should have Saturday off, which I'm pretty sure I will. But I'm just gonna say I should. And hopefully Kevin will be back, and we can do a TakeOver review. So there's that to look forward to. So, anyways, guys, take care. Peace. Love all of you for the downloads and the plays and the listens. And take care.